Yeah, I don't think you're gonna be happy, Brandy.
I think you're going to be extra
it's
miserable.
on the poster.
Oh, suddenly soundtracks are here to provide you. Suddenly soundtracks will show you care. Oh, Beamer, the soundtrack inside you with sweet understanding. Oh, with sweet understanding. With sweet understanding. Soundtracks are your friend.
Probably the opposite of what this fucking is about. It's pop punk. Add it to playlist with Tim Franco, Sean Sullivan, David B., James White, and coming soon, and hopefully soon, is Dan Nye. So hey guys, we're doing add it to playlist, pop punk. This is something that's out of my wheelhouse, so I'm letting these guys take it over. I'm gonna throw it to you, Tim. How hard was it for you to make this playlist, bud?
It was pretty challenging. I think the challenging thing for me specifically is I always lean a little more like punk in my tastes, and so it was kind of like finding that sweet spot in terms of like making sure I get some pop punk songs. But as we'll see as the list unfolds, I definitely have some songs in there that might lean a little more punk or skate punk or a little harder. But that's just my taste. But I think they all influence the genre. But yeah, it was difficult. I have a gigantic pop punk list that I just basically kind of pulled from that I listen to a lot. So I think it's probably the same thing for everyone on this list. But that was my journey. So Sullivan, why don't you tell us what your journey was in creating this undertaking?
I made my list last, and I was kind of trying to make sure that we had certain things on that list that I knew that other people wouldn't pick, right? Like, we'll get to some of my choices when we get to them, but like, I have songs on here that I think that some people on this panel have probably never heard, right? They're definitely pop punk. You go and look up their, up their discography, and they are absolutely pop punk, but they're a lot more contemporary. So a lot of people on the panel who grew up listening to pop punk probably aren't as familiar with it.
Dan, how hard was it for you to make this playlist?
Oh my god.
Daniel struggled.
I don't know so much if I struggled or it was like an embarrassment of riches. I think my initial playlist was like 70 or 80 songs. So to whittle that down to 10 became a much more gargantuan task than I was initially anticipating. But a little bit like Sean said, I didn't necessarily work backwards, but I knew that there was going to be certain songs that other people were going to have, so I wasn't necessarily going to focus too much on them. So I only picked like one or two that were super like well known, and so I also did like Sean did, and I picked a lot more obscure ones that meant a lot to me, and we'll definitely be talking about them as well. But yeah, no, it was a long. We even talked in our chat where we're like, oh, we'll definitely do a second episode where I'm like, oh, I'm definitely just going to leave my playlist up, and then I'll go right back to it, and I'll already have like songs 11 through 20 just locked and loaded and ready to go.
James, do you have the same struggle?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a real hard one for me. I remember early on in the chat being like, yeah, I whittled it down to 30. And Dan would respond, oh, I'm at like 57. So I felt good about my 30. But yeah, it's really hard. So when I'm picking through my list, I decided that I was going to keep it at one song per band for me. So I just tried to pick out the one that either resonated more with me or one of their more popular songs. But yeah, it's really difficult. There's so many great bands that have great pop punk songs. Luckily for me, a lot of the ones that I wanted to pick in my excess were picked by my fellow panelists. So I didn't have so much heartache seeing at least 5, 6, 7, 8 more songs getting put on the list that I couldn't pick myself.
And David.
No.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I think he's lying. I think he's lying.
I just chose a bunch of Weezer songs, Weezer's greatest hits. So
Do I have too many songs here?
Possibly. All right, guys.
Honestly, real answer, Chris.
Yeah.
Real talk.
Just defining what pop punk is was really difficult for me.
I think that's going to be an ongoing conversation throughout the night
Yeah,
as well.
because it was like okay, well, I know the punk element, but what makes it pop? Is it just strictly the fact that it's popular, or
So I think that Dan and I
We
Dan
talked
and I
about
are
this
gonna-
quite a lot.
Well, and we're going to talk about it quite a lot tonight as well. And we don't mean to bash on anyone's lists. We're going to have the discussion when some of these songs come up, and there are some songs on my list that I think fit with that issue, in that there are some songs that are often considered pop punk, but really are more post-hardcore or emo or something else. But I think that they need to be part of this conversation, so we didn't really stop anyone. For example, Panic at the Disco, not a pop punk band, but they come from pop punk roots,
Sure.
and they're very instrumental in what defines that genre. So they need to be on the list, if that makes any sense.
Also, I mean, we can talk about it more, but like there was a shift in the genre too, that like in that late 2000s period, where like mid to late 2000s period, where it kind of evolved into that genre. So I think having those types of bands is important because of the evolution of the genre itself. So that's why I think it's good that they're there overall.
Yeah.
Before we do get into the playlist, guys, be sure to check out the Patreon. There's a lot of great kick-ass tiers, and also want to shout out all the producers, executive producers, Brandy Parker, Brandon Buckingham, Ricardo Franco, our go-to producer, Sean Wingblade, who requested a certain Suddenly soundtrack, which I will announce probably within the next week or two. It's a lot of work to get that done, but it's going to be fun. And our producers, Michael K., Stephen Wright, the youth critic, Kale Bedore, Jake Berlin, Anton Putra, Tyler Birch, Patricia Corillo, Chris Corney, Shira Potato, Molly Damon, and Beth Harris. You guys are all rock stars. Now, before I do start, this stream in particular, and every stream that I'm producing this month, is for the American Heart Association. So any donations that come into my personal Streamlabs will be donated to the American Heart Association. So we've already raised almost $700 this month. Hopefully we can hit the K before the month ends. So guys, I'm going to bring up the board. You guys know the drill. And I'm going to give control right over to Tim. So, Tim, take it away, bud.
Just to reiterate real quick before Tim takes over, any Streamlabs you choose to donate today, donate to Chris Clark. In addition, this playlist will be made available to our patrons in our Discord. So if you are a patron, you will have access to this playlist. I think we're probably also going to link it in the YouTube description.
We usually tweet it out too, probably, I imagine.
We'll tweet it out or link it in the YouTube description. If you donate a Streamlab of $5 or more and include a song, we'll add the song to the public playlist.
Yep, and we'll keep track of that, and we'll add it to the public playlist. So
And if you do a Streamlab of $1,000 or more, we'll print vinyl and we'll autograph it and we'll send it to you.
I will get a vinyl printed of the playlist, or however many songs will fit on the vinyl.
I don't think James knows how expensive it is to print vinyl. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna nix that right away.
I think you could print a vinyl for less than $1,000.
all right, guys. So, Tim, take it away, and bada boom.
Okay, so we're gonna start with James and move across the board, and then we'll start
Oh
again
God,
with
starting
James.
with me. Okay.
Essentially, we're gonna go from the bottom up. Essentially, so start with your bottom one, and we're gonna go up. We're gonna do 4 songs. So we're gonna do 2 rounds of 4. So reveal your first 4 songs, and then we'll do another round of your next 4 songs, and then we'll do a final third round with our last 2 songs. And then I think before that final round, I will unveil Maxwell's full list since he was not able to be here tonight. He wanted to, but his songs are still here, and he's still represented in that way. So we will unveil his list before we all unveil our final 2 picks.
Why don't we? Some of my placement was defined by Maxwell's list, so why don't we
do his list now?
Do his list
As we go?
as we normally would in order.
Okay, yeah. So okay, we can do it, but we won't. I don't think we're going to spend as much time talking about that, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, unless there's something we really need to.
Yeah, we can do like we'll just throw it out if anyone has any thoughts on anything, throw them out there, essentially kind of thing. Okay.
Dave, is
All
there
right.
a reason you only have 9 songs?
Yeah,
there's
I called an audible on one of the songs.
You pulled one
Yeah,
off.
one of the songs is getting changed.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
gonna
Yeah,
change.
I pulled an
Yeah.
audible.
You pulled an audible. You should be familiar with the song, I imagine, though, that he did audible. So
I'm sure.
So
Hey, Marcus.
there we go.
Marcus would like to add Nirvana "Smells Like Teen Spirit"
No.
to our list.
No.
Do we have veto power?
No.
Hey,
Nope.
He donated $10. It's
No.
on the list.
It's
No,
gonna go. It has to.
no amount of
There's-
money is gonna
okay,
add
hold on,
Nirvana
hold
to
on,
our
hold
list.
on. Mark,
Don't you dare.
Can you sit on that, because Sean and I are working on another show, and that would actually fit on the other show we're talking about. So if you want to sit on that,
we'll have to talk about that.
we'll talk about that later. We'll
From-
talk about it off air,
from-
but like that
from
would fit on the
here-
other show.
From here on out,
At least you guys can read the comments too. So there you go.
Oh yeah,
Let's
for
try
sure.
to.
Oh my God, Michael K doing.
Wow.
$100.
Michael.
Michael. Mike's the man.
Blueprint of
that
the
is
Fall by
not
Strung
that
Out.
is not on the playlist, so it is now getting
Oh,
added to the playlist.
right.
What did Mike add?
Blueprint of the Fall.
I don't know
by-
that
I'm
song.
not sure who.
I don't either.
I know this. I recognize the song name, but I can't say I know it.
Blueprint of the Fall. The only song that I would know would
Um,
be the Anberlin song.
Before we start,
Mike
before we
is like
start,
26
Yeah, by
put on the
Strung
list,
Out.
right?
What's up, Chris?
Oh, okay.
before we start, David, what song is "Wow" instantly hard? Is that what you said in the chat? I
It
can't
was
find
the intro theme.
Wow, instantly hard.
I thought that you were giving me the title for your song.
No, he was,
No, yeah,
he was
that's also-
revealing- yeah,
Honestly,
in his lower
that's
regions.
the name of my next single. My next single is gonna be
Wow,
called "Wow."
Instantly-
You guys want
Oh,
a preview?
God.
You guys want a
You
preview of "Wow" instantly hard?
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Can
do.
you give
Please,
us a-
David.
Real
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
Real quick. All right.
With 6 to midnight in parentheses, right?
Wow, instantly hard. All right.
How did you
for-
text me the song?
For those of you who are new
I'll put it
here,
in the private chat.
Yeah.
that's exactly what happens when Chris Clark only skims and then he grabs something like that was totally out of
Guys, I
context.
can't- Can I
It was
just
the
say
best.
I can't wait till you guys get the next bloop bloop because
Yeah,
there's
some
one of those in
gems.
there and
Yeah, there is.
it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's great. All right, so let's go ahead and get this started with James. James, let's unveil your first 4 songs, and you can talk about them, and then we'll run through and see what kind of thoughts we have on those songs. So let's get it
Gotcha.
started.
So my first song I'm picking is "Flavor of the Week" by American Hi-Fi.
Mhm.
I've got "Say Anything" by the band Cartel, "Check Marks" by the Academy Is, and "Teenage Dirtbag" by Wheatus.
Nice. I was wondering who put check marks on there.
I assumed that was Tim actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I assumed it was Tim.
Really?
Yeah,
I feel like my block is pretty easy to.
Yeah, I could
Yeah,
tell.
but-
Yeah.
Well,
I can
Wheatus is
100%
just a little
tell.
bit. Wheatus is just a little bit more on the outside of that. Like they're definitely pop punk, but they're just
Yeah.
a little more on the outside of that. That I assumed it was Tim.
All right.
Check Marks and "Say Anything." Cartel and the Academy Is like they both hit with that album, each of those respective albums in 2005. So I was like right in the middle of college, man. And those songs and those albums just really just resonated over the entire year for me. I would just listen to those bands over and over again. And I remember they had a new band bracket. It was almost like a March Madness thing where they had a bunch of like indie bands, and I'm pretty sure Cartel ended up winning that. It was like a 64 band thing, and the Academy was in there, and that's kind of how I discovered them.
Nice.
And then Teenage Dirtbag, man, it's just such a fun song. Like I remember that, like I think it was like my senior year of high school when that came out. And just everybody in my friends group, like that was the song that we would just listen to all the damn time. And Flavor of the Week, it's one of those really poppy punk pop songs. And it's got like a super great guitar solo in the middle of it that just kind of gets overlooked. And I remember seeing them playing an acoustic in studio set of the song. And I don't remember whether it was Howard Stern or something, but they played it acoustically and the dude played the guitar solo acoustically. And you don't ever hear anybody play a guitar solo when they're doing an acoustic set. They always skip over it, play a little rhythm. So that always just kind of stood out in my head, and I always respected them for playing that acoustic solo, man.
Flavor
Sean,
of the
you-
Week for me is one of those songs that's like, it's again, even if you don't know any American Hi-Fi, which I don't, but I love Flavor of the Week. Like when I think pop punk, I'm like, yeah, like Flavor of the Week. That's like epitome of that. What is it? It's got to be early 2000s, right? Like 03?
Yeah.
It was 2000.
2003.
2000,
Oh, yeah.
2000 exactly.
2000 exactly.
Thank you, Steven.
Top that.
Thanks, Steve.
I don't know that song either.
So that sounds familiar. But I was going to say, as far as what James put on here, yeah, Flavor of the Week, I know a handful of other American Hi-Fi, and this is definitely the one, like, it starts off so heavy. Like, that song starts off unbelievably heavy, and I love where it goes from there. I'm also happy somebody else put on Cartel, because I had a hard time keeping Cartel off of my list. And Danny, actually, I think it was Danny. Where'd he go? It's already gone too far. I think Danny said in the chat it was Slow Down. If gun to my head, if I'm putting an Academy song on here, I'm going Slow Down. But Check Marks is such a great song.
But I think Slow Down again is one of those songs that it kind of falls out of pop punk a little bit.
That's the thing, is we're going to be splitting the atom a lot.
Right.
tonight.
Yeah.
But especially because something you don't normally do in pop punk is play with time signature, and Slow Down really plays with time signature.
It does.
Sure.
Sorry, getting a little.
It's
There was
okay.
another one that I was considering putting another song from that album on. I can't remember exactly what it was now, and I gotta look.
Was it Attention?
Attention's a good one, but I think it was shit. I'm looking at the album right now to be positive. Oh, Black Mamba. I love that
Mamba's a great
song.
one, too, yeah.
But that one doesn't feel pop punk at all. It's more rock to me. So I went with something that was a little bit more in the genre.
But same thing with Say Anything. Like, it's weird because Say Anything is a band. Say Anything Else by Cartel is like, that's one of their more pop punk songs, because again, they're a little bit less punk usually.
Yes.
But Tim.
Yeah, all these songs I was familiar with, except for actually the Academy check marks. That's a band that I just actually never really checked out, even though they were from, like, you know, around when I was listening to a lot of this music. I just somehow I missed them, but I really enjoyed that song. I enjoyed especially the build up that they would have to the chorus and the hook of the song.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that.
It's a really good album. You should check it out.
I'm gonna add it to my list of like things to listen to. Flavor of the Week, I mean, yeah, it's like everyone's like, it's iconic. I mean, it's got great riffs, great vocals, super catchy. This is going to be a running theme throughout tonight. It is also featured in American Pie 2.
Yeah.
So when I think of pop punk, I think of like American Pie and American Pie 2. Those are like the two movies I think of. And every time a song is mentioned tonight that appears in American Pie 2 or American Pie, I will call it out.
Good.
So, Say Anything by Cartel. It's a great song. My big thing I want to mention about this is I think this album they made under the Militia Group label, and the Militia Group label was like a newer label. The cool thing about the Militia Group, though, is it originally was a booking company, specifically booking some of like my favorite punk bands, which is like MXPX, Slick Shoes, a lot of those early like Tooth and Nail bands. The Militia Group was founded by that gentleman who did all that work for them. And then Wheatus, Teenage Dirtbag, yeah, I mean, it's a great song. I remember the music video. It like was written specifically for that movie Loser, I believe. With and so the video is like Jason Biggs and Mina Subari. Yeah. And a thing I wanted to mention on that is in 2019. I don't know if you guys ever like listened to any of like the Pace Studio live recordings that they do. Like you can see them on YouTube. It's the Pace Studio, New York City. They did a Wheatus one in 2019 where they sang this song in the studio, and it's really, really good. They still got it, and the guys can still like hit that vocal at the very end. It's great. So I would recommend checking that out specifically around this song. David, what are your thoughts?
I like them.
Would you say they're a rockin', a skip, a shuffle, or an add it to the playlist?
Ooh.
Ooh.
We're not doing that, Sean.
Oh, right, wrong show. My bad. Sorry, Chris.
Do it anyway.
Do it anyway.
We don't have 6 hours.
Honestly,
Sean. We only have 4 hours.
The one
We
that,
don't need
that
to.
the one that felt the most pop punk to me was "Say Anything" out of these four. To
Really?
me, yeah, and like especially when I would like go on a walk or I had to like work out, like that song would like say anything. But I like things with a little bit of an edge to it, as you'll find out on my list. So
See, I think Flavor of the Week, like,
Yeah.
to me,
Out of
has
all
the most
those, I
edge
think
just
the
from
most
guitar
pop
riffs.
punk is Flavor of the Week for me.
Yeah, I think Flavor of the Week. I think Say Anything is the next most pop punk for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Let's go to you, Sean.
Yeah, we're gonna be here forever. So I'm currently playing one of the songs on my list. This is "Where I Belong" by Simple Plan, State Champs, and We the Kings. Now, why this song? Why this song? Because I can knock 2 off my list without putting 2 bands on. It knocks We the Kings and Simple Plan. It also is a lot more what I consider pop punk than Simple Plan. Simple Plan really fits that old school pop punk vibe, and this to me, I like a lot more of the modern stuff in the pop punk genre. So Where I Belong really fits that pretty well. Next, I have Decade Under the Influence by Taking Back Sunday. Again, Taking Back Sunday probably fits more in the post-hardcore or emo genres, depending on what you define emo as, which is a whole other debate we'll have on another show. But Decade Under the Influence, definitely that song in particular has some pretty hardcore punk and pop punk vibes to it. All Time Low, Dear Maria, just a classic. I got nothing to say. It needed to be on the list. Love this song. Love All Time Low. If you haven't listened to any of their newer stuff, check it out. Mike K, I'm not familiar with Spanish love songs, but I will have to look them up. Message me about them because I'm curious. And then the last one I have is a Machine Gun Kelly song, but specifically a cover. Misery Business by Machine Gun Kelly and Travis Barker. I was going to put Concert for Aliens on there by Machine Gun Kelly. If you're familiar with Machine Gun Kelly, you're probably thinking, well, wait a minute. He's a rapper. He released the bitchinest...
It's appropriate. It's an appropriate word for tonight.
He released one of the most bitchin' pop punk albums of the last 5 years last year. And if you haven't seen it, it's called... I don't remember what the album's called. But Machine Gun Kelly, it's a pop
like
punk
Tickets
album.
to My Downfall or something.
Tickets to My
Something like
Downfall.
that. Yeah.
And it fucking rocks. It's Machine Gun Kelly and Travis Barker, and it's just totally worth the listen. Why I put Misery Business on here? Well, I didn't think anyone else had Misery Business on
Oops.
the list.
Go on. Sorry, this is a request I had for Chris. Chris is rearranging
Your list.
I had no idea what I was doing until about 20 minutes ago. So
And that's still questionable.
yes, always. Seat of my pants is how I'm flying
To,
tonight, guys.
to Danny's comment in the chat, Set Your Goals was real close in my list, but for me, they're a little bit more post-hardcore than pop punk.
Danny, and we'll set your goals got close to mine, but you'll see there's definitely some influence in there as well. So we'll get there. Not just your goals, but you'll see.
Good Lord, my dogs are acting up.
Your dogs are barking?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't notice.
Would anyone like to complain about my list?
Let's kick it over to, let's just go to Dan. Dan, what are your thoughts on this list?
We talked about this before. I like the Where I Belong pick because you're right, that does knock out a lot at once with the Simple Plan State Champs. I didn't know We the Kings was on there too, just because there's so many artists. There's another song, actually, I feel like Tim may know it, but if anyone else, I almost put on a song called The Innocent that was a collaboration between Good Charlotte, Goldfinger, and Mest.
Oh,
For a
yeah.
similar reason. I wound up not doing it just because I had other songs that went like the song was good, and it was in response to 9/11, so it was also kind of very like politically charged. But like I like the Where I Belong. It's one of the first times I heard that song. I really liked it. That's the thing. I would probably push back against you with any Taking Back Sunday, and this is as poppy as they get. I wouldn't consider it pop punk personally.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
But I put it on there anyway.
But I put it on there anyway.
Because fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
and part of the reason I put it on there was because, like, for me, like Danny makes a good point, and Mike K makes a good point. Like, you start splitting hairs with easycore and post-hardcore and all that shit. It's like, all right, I'll spoil some of the picks on my list. I've got Neck Deep and State Champs later on my list.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably more easycore or post-hardcore than pop punk, but they're what the modern genre defines as pop punk.
The only reason that I would say those ones get more of a pass than Taking Back Sunday is because they directly sprouted from pop punk, whereas TBS was already in existence and like pop punk was kind of going parallel with them. But that again, splitting hairs. Really happy you put on Dear Maria because that was probably the all-time low that I felt most deserved to be on here. And then I think you touched a little bit on Misery Business. We're going to talk about Misery Business again, so I don't even really want to talk about it here.
I got something to say about Misery Business.
Ooh.
It's a hot take. You already.
Ooh.
Everyone keeps saying how bitching that album is by Machine Gun Kelly. Yet the only thing you put on any of us did from that album was a cover of another band. So.
Well, like I said, I was gonna have Concert for Aliens.
Just saying, come at me, nerds.
I was trying to kill two birds with one stone, and someone else killed the other bird first.
I'm just saying, bro. Everyone, like, look, it's an okay album. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of people are like, it's the best fucking. I'm just like, really,
Well, it's because we don't get as much pop punk anymore. I think that's why.
I don't know. This is where, again, splitting hairs. It's like the genre has evolved towards it's like easycore and like post hardcore and stuff like that. But underneath it all, I always try to think of the umbrellas like it's just punk. That's the thing we tend to do, right? Like, even when you think it's like, oh, it's just jazz music. It's like, I can split hairs like, no, that's bebop, that's swing, that's ragtime, that's blues, that's fusion, that's bossa nova. You know what I mean? But under the umbrella, like, it's punk, it's jazz. That's what I try to see it as, too. Which again, is going to explain my list a lot, too. But it's a decent album, but...
Spoilers, Mike. Spoilers.
I really tried to give it a shot, and I was just like, I probably won't listen to this ever again, if I'm being honest.
I think I'm with you, David. I think I'm with you on that one, to be honest.
That's really fair. Like, for me, that's really in line with like that album to me is really in line with a band called Issues, and like that style of whatever you want to define Issues as, because they're kind of weird. But I don't know.
I mean, no, it's your
we're
list.
Splitting it.
Put it on
Yeah,
there. Like do
and
it.
it is, and it's like in all seriousness too. It's like how do you define? Like, to me, the easiest way to define it, it's probably not the actual quote unquote definition of it, but it's just punk that's popular, like punk that somehow like broke top 10, top hundreds in the time.
There you go.
So it's just popular punk music. Like, if it has that, we all know the element of punk, right? It has to be fast, has to be repetitive chord progressions, usually 4 to 5 chords at the most. Very 4/4 time, no 3, no 2, no weird 7/8s. Pretty like you can clap along to it, you know what I mean? And like some kind of catchy hook. And occasionally a whiny voice, like a whiny like.
There's a lot of nasally voices coming up here.
Lots of nasally voice.
It's like if Bob Dylan made rock music.
Yeah, exactly. So
Dylan goes electric. Dylan goes pop punk.
that was my only issue with your list, Sean. Was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean,
like I said, I'm filling holes more than I'm.
Crazy.
I made my list last so that I could fill holes rather than, you know, if I were to make my top 10, it would not be this list. Let's say that.
What are you doing?
Filling holes, making sure we have a good playlist. I'm being a team player.
Oh, fair. Okay.
That's-
I mean, my list isn't necessarily my favorite of some of these bands.
Same.
Same.
Yeah, you know.
Definitely same.
This is a big old playlist right here.
In terms of these songs, I said this in the post show, but I'll say it now. I think Sean's list overall is like the most pop punk of us, like the truest to the genre.
Shake my fist at you, sir.
I disagree.
I think yours is probably the next, Dan. Let's see here. The Machine Gun Kelly song is really good. I like the album overall. I think this song, in some ways, my only like criticism of it would be like I think it sounds like a bit over-engineered for like a punk song sometimes.
Yeah.
Like you can tell, like I mean he's getting a lot of work in terms of his vocals and stuff, which is just like the modern way of singing.
You know what? I think that's a really good comment on that album as a whole.
Yeah,
and maybe modern pop punk as a whole. I think modern pop punk is over-engineered.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like when you'll see as I unveil my list, I am definitely an older pop punk listener. Like I kind of lost touch with the genre like in the mid 2000s, and started listening more to like punk and like even like some like hardcore metal. So like. What's up, Dan?
Well, I was just going to say there was a big thing that surprised me about your list, but I'm going to wait until we get there.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, I'm sure. But no, I think these 4 songs are great. A great start to a pop punk playlist. I'm looking at my notes I have on another computer. If there's anything else I want to mention, the Taking Back Sunday song, I agree. I think they typically tend to lean a little like that screamo post-hardcore kind of sound, but I do think I said in my notes this song definitely leans like more pop punk than like a lot of their songs, so I think it fits.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think it's overall, I mean, the Simple Plan, State Champs, and who was the third band on there again?
We the Kings.
We the Kings, yeah, that, which I was not familiar with State Champs or We the Kings. Very familiar with Simple Plan.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we have one more We the Kings song.
Another We the Kings
song. I like that song as well.
I was gonna say I would be surprised if you hadn't heard that ever, because it was a really popular song for like a month.
But I really like the song. I mean, it shows a great collaborative effort amongst these 3 bands to make a really good song. So, does anyone else miss anything? James, did you talk about it, or anyone else have anything to say about these 4 songs?
Yeah, no, I wasn't really familiar with these before listening to them after Sean added to the playlist.
Probably unfamiliar with most of my list.
A good bit.
I'm not familiar with a lot of your list, Sean.
Yeah, a good bit of it. But no, I have kind of the same opinion that David said earlier when I was picking my songs. It's like for this, I'm trying to find punky pop songs that also got a lot of play, that were very popular. That's kind of where my brain went. But I took that into consideration when I eliminated 2 picks just to get Cartel and say the Academy is on there. I was like, all right, they were popular in a small subgroup, but
yeah, I mean they're that's on my everyday playlist is the Academy is Cartel, Taking Back Sunday.
Yeah,
I have that. Is that the Jams playlist? I love that playlist, dude. I legit do love it.
I might
share that one. I want that one.
Yeah. I've been working on redoing it. Once I redo it, I'm gonna share it to.
I need to do one on Spotify, because all my I only had Spotify. I'm recently on Spotify, only in like the last 6 months. So like all my stuff is on iTunes, and even I had to, a little peek behind the curtain, I had to nix one song that I really wanted on this playlist because it wasn't on Spotify, and we had a whole long conversation about it. But it would have been the 3rd song by this artist that would have made it to this playlist. So I was like, it's okay.
Yeah. I had a song I wanted to put on there, but the artist, the song I wanted wasn't on Spotify either. But it's fair because the song I wanted wasn't even like really a pop punk song. But I really wanted to put it on there.
You look confused, Sean.
What song, Dan?
It was Gifts and Curses. We talked about it. We'll get to the artist, and I'll reveal that later. And yeah, was that the voice of God, Chris? Was that you?
I never actually said this on stream, but yeah, I make a rule that any song needs to be on Spotify just so the playlist can be shared easily.
Yeah.
After a show, which sucks because Spotify doesn't have everything, and that's just a good example of
It's got almost everything though.
Yes.
But I will say, Sean, I did like your songs here. When I was listening to them, I didn't like have any that I disliked. So I like the picks, and Where I Belong I thought was really good. I like that.
Has everyone else been jamming this playlist for like the past 2 weeks?
Hell yeah!
I drove around like most of the day today, and that's all I listened to.
Sadly, I only have a 10-minute commute, so I don't really get to pop on a playlist very long. I can listen to 2 songs, and then I'm there, and then I can listen to another 2 songs on my way back.
I spend my whole day in a work truck, so
the playlist is over 3 hours long. Just everyone knows.
Yeah, every day I would go for a walk for like an hour and just listen to it. So.
All right, well, let's get to.
Yeah, let's unveil Maxwell's list here.
Speaking of the man who just joined the chat,
I'm not sure if these are like any particular order that Maxwell wanted them in. Chris, I think, just kind of set them up the way they were, but we're going to go ahead and unveil them here.
4.
Yeah, I'll do the bottom 4. So we got the Click 5, Just the Girl, Newfound Glory, My Friends Over You,
Classic.
Bowling for Soup, High School Never Ends, and Avril Lavigne,
Skater
He Was
Boy.
a Skater Boy.
Yeah.
Which, by
She
the way,
said, "See you later,
all right,
boy."
I'm gonna start with Skater Boy.
Oh boy, here we go.
Okay, here's the thing.
It better be lots of praise. Lots of praise.
I was listening to this fucking playlist, and this came on, and I didn't even think about it. That it totally fits.
And you knew
like,
every word to that song.
Yes. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Everyone knows every word.
And
of
you
that.
know
Yeah.
Oh,
every
yeah.
word to this song. And there's another element we don't talk about in pop punk, and that's song topic. Like
Sure.
like
I'm
pop
sorry.
punk songs all fall into like a certain, like especially Max's list, right? My Friends Over You, Just the Girl, High School Never Ends. It's all about like being young and being scorned, and
Yeah.
that's where
It's-
that overlap is.
It's all
with-
about angsty, being angsty.
Yeah.
It's all about an angsty
and
teenager.
that's,
Yeah.
that's where that overlap is
And I was
between pop punk, post hardcore, emo, easycore, whatever. That's where the overlap is. It's
And I
the
was-
themes and the genres, but like the
Subject
thematic.
matter. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's where that overlap is. And I think Skater Boy, it's so weird because this is gonna sound a little sexist, but like that's the shit my sister listened to, right? Like that's how you think of Skater Boy. Now that being said, my sister, I have a twin sister. She's the one
I
that
must
got
have been
me-
your sister.
Yeah. I have a twin sister, and she's the one that got me into pop punk. Like
Ah.
That's
Like,
a good
so-
sister.
yeah, she's a huge vinyl head, and like that's her thing. But when I think Avril
Maybe
Lavigne,
we
I'm
should
like,
have Sean's sister on it.
Yeah, right. Sean, what are you doing? Grab your sister. Also,
should.
is the thing I kept giggling at was like Sean was talking about how Skater Boy just fit seamlessly into this list, and I just imagined Sean doing lyrics to Skater Boy, but as spoken word. So Sean just being like, he
Can we
was
get a
he
preview
was
of that?
a
Can we
a
get a
skater
preview of that?
boy. She said,
He was a girl.
"See you later, boy."
This
He
list
was
this-
not good enough for her.
No, he.
I think
he wasn't.
Maxwell's first 4 are great here. Newfound Glory is like an all-timer pop punk
Yeah.
band. When you think of pop punk, like it's like Blink-182 and like Newfound Glory, and that's they belong here for sure. And this is a really fantastic song.
So my only question for like Newfound Glory was like it was them that kind of coined the term bubblegum punk, right?
I think
Yeah, I
so.
believe so.
Because I totally agree it belongs here because like the poppiest song. It's like not one of my favorite Newfound Glory songs, but it's definitely up there with their discography. But that was one too where I wasn't like quite sure because I was like, again,
I will-
splitting hairs.
I will push back against that every
See, I
day.
think-
No, yeah,
I
I think 100% like this
Yeah,
type
my
their type of
personal
music
review-
belong.
I
That is-
literally think that
Newfound Glory
bubblegum
is
pop is the
quintessential.
that's the definition of pop punk. You
That's
know,
like
the
bubblegum
definition of pop
Yeah.
punk.
That's like an Uber subgenre of pop punk. Basically, it's like
Yeah.
you can get even more. You go to bubblegum.
In that subgenre, you might have a handful of bands from like Drive Through or even Rushmore, which was that little weird side imprint
Yeah.
of Drive Through for a while. But like,
or like the format maybe.
it's all under pop punk. And literally, My Friends Over You is how they end pretty much every show they've ever done. So if their encore or their final song is going to be that song, I think it 100% should be here.
Well, and like with like because if we're looking at just the first 3 lists here, like what is the quintessential pop punk? We're looking at American High, in my opinion, American Hi-Fi, All Time Low, and Newfound Glory.
Newfound Glory.
Like that is there's your structure for what pop punk is in my head.
Sure.
Yeah,
But
that would be
again,
interesting
it's different
to,
for everyone.
to like piece it
I kind
together.
of want let's do that at the end. Let's go.
Also, let's not forget that Avril was part of a pop punk power couple early on with her and Derek Whibley from.
Right.
Don't forget who she married.
Before
Sum
Chad
41.
Kroger.
Before
Yes,
Chad
before Chad
Kroger.
Kroger.
Yeah. I believe she's single now, but
Tim
So
all set
you're
it up.
saying
for you,
there's a chance.
Saying there's a chance. I'm not a
all
skater
right.
boy.
James, David B, Dano, what do you got on
No,
this
I
one?
love this list. I think it's great. Yeah, I love Newfound Glory. You may see a little bit more later. And High School Never Ends. It's not the Bowling for Soup song you think would be on the list.
Don't worry, we'll cover it.
Yeah, we will.
I've got a long rant about it. We'll cover it.
But no, Bowling for Soup are great, man. I love them, and this is a fantastic song too. So I'm glad to have them on the list represented here. And Just a Girl, I didn't really know that song too much.
I didn't either. No, but it's great.
So it was great. Yeah, I loved it. So great list so far, Max.
We had a big long conversation between in our chat where whether or not Just the Girl qualified, and Max showed us the video, and Sean and I were like 100% absolutely that song qualifies. Like, and I want to make sure I shout that song out because I know Max really loved that song, that band, and the video was like, this is where you got bordering for. So pop punk, when David was talking about it, David B was talking about it, he was saying it was much more like popular music, but that's where this laid, where it was like it seemed much more like this was a label backwards engineering a pop punk band almost. So it was like, we're going to put together 5 really attractive guys, dress them all the same, have a really poppy song, and that's what it's going to be.
And I think
I take it back. I take it back. I just listened to it. I was completely wrong. I definitely remember that song. I was so happy when it got on the list.
If we do need a song listened to, let me know and I'll play it in the background.
I couldn't be sure if that was the right one, and I was remembering now.
I should also. I think now is the time. Now that we have something like the Click 5 on here, now's the time to mention. No Good Charlotte made this list.
Shocker! That's legit a shocker.
They should have.
No
Because
Fountains of Wayne.
I also think Good Charlotte is another band that is like a label trying to manufacture an edgy pop punk band.
Ooh,
now,
yeah.
I don't think that's what they actually are, but that's what they come off
Look,
as.
that's what they felt like.
That is
yeah.
blasphemous, sir. Good Charlotte are from Waldorf, Maryland. They're just right up the road from my aunts and uncles. They've been pop punk all their lives. They deserve to be on this
The
list.
River by Good Charlotte was real close to my list. I will say that.
I mean,
Listen,
The
if someone
anthem is
wanted Good
definitely
Charlotte on here,
Chad
they
is
should have put
speaking.
Good Charlotte on here. I wasn't going to put Good Charlotte on here. But if someone
Yeah, I
wanted
wasn't
them on
either.
here, they should have put them on here.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of what I think of Max's list, I mean, I've never heard of the Click 5, but I've heard this song before. It's like it kind of registered that I've heard it before. Obviously, I already said about Newfound Glory. I love them. I think they belong here too. Bowling for Soup, same thing. The one that was like, oh yeah, this kind of does fit, surprisingly, was like Skater Boy. And yes, I did know all the songs. It was happily singing it on my walks.
yeah,
So-
all the lyrics.
All the lyrics, dude.
Yeah.
Too bad that she couldn't see.
All right, so unless anyone has any final thoughts, we can move on to handsome Dan here to unveil his 4 songs.
It should be in the right order now.
Let's hope.
We'll see what happens. It's an adventure. Where is God there?
God?
Do I have to do this? Hold on. I might.
Yeah, you
Pause
gotta
it?
click your own songs. Here,
Yeah, you have to go over
Wait,
it. There you go. You do
okay,
it?
God's got
We
it.
can do
you.
it for you
Yeah.
if you need to. There you go. All right.
Okay. So, as far as these songs go, we talked a little bit earlier about what these songs, and I'm doing them in reverse chronological order. So we'll see like when they came out. And as soon as we did this, I was like, I want a Phoenix TX song on there because that was one of those bands that like I felt was not big enough in the time of all of these coming out. Like everyone, Phoenix TX should have been as big as Blink-182 or Newfound Glory. Like they had that same vibe, they had that same sound, and then they put out like Threesome was their big single, and it's like it's a good song, but it's not the same vibe. And that same vibe was Phoebe Cates, and Phoebe Cates is an amazing song. Like their whole albums, I will still play through beginning to end, listen to all of them because they just make me really, really, really happy. As a
Minimum Wage was originally on my list, so I was glad to see Phoenix TX here.
yes. My next song was "The Best of Me" by Starting Line because similar to Newfound Glory and Blink-182, the Starting Line absolutely had to be on this playlist. And that album, "Say It Like You Mean It," is quintessential pop punk. Like I listened to that always over and over and over again, and like that album was very much in my formative years, and that was the song that everyone knew from that album. Sugar Cult Memory.
I was
Go ahead.
really glad you had Memory on this list.
Me
Because
too.
because like I said, I put my list together last,
Mhm.
but I had kind of been doing a preliminary list, and that was on there, and I'm like, oh, well, you just made the cut easier. Great.
I'm just hold on. You also changed it, so I'm hearing Phoenix TX in the background right now, and I got really distracted.
I also love that Sean just mentions that he made his list last, but didn't notice that Misery Business was already on the list.
You know what?
Yeah, exactly.
I thought I knew Paramore was on here, but I thought Max put I thought whoever put a Paramore song. I thought they put a different Paramore song on there because we had talked about like Crush,
yeah.
and I just forgot all of Paramore's discography.
Actually, Coach, that's a great call. I think technically I have 3 drive-through bands on this first 4 because Midtown is also a drive-through band, but we'll get to that later. But Memory is one of those things, like as soon as you hear that David B. Soda talking that high D just going on and on and on, the drums in the background, you know that song, and that song is an earworm that you will have in your head for weeks.
I mean, I haven't
which
heard
is-
it in a few days, and it's still
This may
stuck in my
never
head.
start.
Yes, exactly.
We
Like
could
that's
fall
why
apart.
I think that might have been so.
That'll be
And
your
we
memory.
talk about how, we're going back to the spoken word. We talk about how long it took me to engineer this playlist. That was one of the ones that was like memories on there, regardless. And then Give It Up. Honestly, I felt a little weird. Midtown was one of those bands that like I have to put a Midtown song on this playlist because not a lot of people know. Similar to Phoenix TX, not a lot of people know who Midtown are. I think that's the correct vernacular. Not a lot of people know who Midtown are, and this is a less pop punk song than them. They have more pop punk songs in their discography on Save the World, Lose the Girl, or Living Well is the Best Revenge. However, this was their biggest song. So I figured if anyone else was going to be like, oh, I know that song, this is what they're going to know it from, which is why I went with Give It Up over anything off those previous 2 albums. And that album, you can go back and listen to Forget What You Know. That album is a masterpiece and holds up to this date for sure.
Well, I didn't know Give It Up by Midtown. I'd never heard of that. I had never heard this song. I loved it. And like that's the thing, again with this list in its entirety is kind of hitting pop punk and the adjacent.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yes, Mike K.
And I
Yes,
think that's
this
important.
was on that soundtrack. Correct. That was the other song I had to cut. Gifts and Curses was also on that soundtrack. And I
Quick
had to
question:
cut it.
how many people on this panel have been in a pop punk band or written pop punk music? David.
Oh,
B,
I've written pop punk music for sure.
David
No.
B, Dan, and myself.
I wasn't in a band, but my best friends growing up in high school were all in a pop punk band, and I was an aspiring bassist or singer in that band. But I was like the guy that was always around.
You need
that's
that
what I
guy.
became.
You need
so
that
I
guy.
know the
Yeah.
feeling.
My hometown, we had a pop punk band, and I had a really small hometown. There was only like 30,000 people there. And there was a pop punk band that won the late night Farmhouse Live. You remember that Farmhouse Live? So they won an amateur competition. So they got Matt Pinfield came to my hometown and like went around and met the guys and did an interview, and then they flew out and they played a song on there. Sadly, that album did nothing, so it wasn't on Spotify because I would have loved to throw that on there just as an homage. But I myself was not in a band, but I hung out in the garage a couple times.
Hey,
David B, is this list bubblegum enough for you?
it's too sweet actually.
Too sweet.
Too sweet.
Honestly, like this was like, again, my playlist is chaotic. I can't wait to
wait
hear all
to
the
hit
hot
yours.
takes. Yeah, I'm
mine's up there.
excited. But this was the hard part about me making my list because I was like, everyone already chose the ones that I consider quintessential pop punk, and Memory was definitely one of those songs where I was like, all right, Memory, that's it. Fuck, someone already chose it. Damn it.
But to be fair, I think that gives you a better list. You know what I mean?
I mean,
when you're not getting
that's
the easy
debatable.
layups. it
I was
gives
also
you a
going to say
better
that
list.
that might have been the one song that I picked that like I knew could have been on other people's lists. I feel like the rest of my list, no one else would pick any of those 9 songs.
And that's ultimately what I try to go for with my playlist. But that being said, talking about Dan's playlist, it's not my turn yet. These are all great. I really loved all these songs. I thought they were all really fun. I think they fall for me. This is the hard part because everything on this list to me falls under pop punk, for me personally. But that again comes down to the minutia of like, well, how do you define the genre? Like, how does media define it? How do you personally define it, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, again, we'll probably do an emo show at some point, and that'll be a hot mess. Because emo is a good example of a genre that, like, what the general public considers emo is one thing, and then what emo
You
fans
consider-
consider emo
yeah.
Right.
is very different.
And
you
that's
know?
another thing too, because I would say emo to me is like a subgenre of pop punk.
Right,
You know
and I
what I
agree
mean?
with that.
Yeah.
And like
So-
for me,
I don't
for
agree with
me-
that at all.
For me, Hawthorne Heights, like that's your
I think
quintessential emo.
certain parts, certain
But they're
That's
not
quintessential-
emo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah,
Dashboard
no, I would
Confessional.
agree.
I think
Dashboard
They're not
Dashboard is
emo.
emo.
yeah, Dashboard
Hawthorne
Confessional,
is not
sure.
emo.
Yeah,
Right,
Hawthorne.
no, I agree, and I agree. But like when I think emo, I go, oh,
I think
Hawthorne Heights.
Ohio. I think Ohio's for lovers when I think emo.
Yeah, right.
Way more screamo though.
Yeah, it's for sure.
No,
screamo.
yeah.
I can't make it on my own.
Hey man, his heart is in Ohio. Okay. Dan's
right there.
Ohio.
Ohio.
But that's the thing, right? Like that's what made this homework assignment so fucking difficult. Was
Also,
like,
Yeah.
can we just point out that Ohio's for Lovers has a bass drop before it was cool? Yeah.
Nice.
that 808 bass drop. Boo. Hey there.
Timmy.
I can. These songs, yeah, this for sure. I mean, Dan's whole list is very pop punk as well. So I wasn't like trying to. I'm sorry if I offended you, Dan, earlier with my statement about Sean's playlist. I love as I mentioned earlier. I love Phoenix TX being in here because I was either going to have this song or Minimum Wage, which I mentioned was literally like last song I took out to put something else in. So I was really happy to see that they were represented. Also, shout out, this song is in American Pie 2. Phoebe Cates, there we go. The other song I wanted to talk about was The Best of Me. This song came out, I believe, the summer I graduated from high school, so it was like me going into college. So it was very, very like important to me, and I listened to it a lot that summer going into this whole new thing that I was about to be embarking on. So those are my thoughts, and I am familiar with all the songs. The other two songs are great as well, but those are the two songs that I wanted to talk about and kind of stand out to me. James, did you say much on these?
Yeah, I didn't get to talk too much on them. But actually, out of all those four, The Best of Me was the one that I was considering to put on my list. I love that song. I love the starting line. And Memory is a song that I completely forgot about. Like, I had forgot that song existed, and when I heard it, like, everything just came back flooding to me. Remembered every fucking word, and I was so happy. So you instilled that past in me. I got my nostalgia brain up, so I was really happy.
Hey.
I know Phoenix TX, but I didn't know Phoebe Cates. So I was excited to listen to both that and the other one. But I hadn't heard either of those songs before.
I will say I saw a couple years ago on one of those reunion tours, I saw Phoenix TX open for Unwritten Law. This was like 3 or 4 years ago. And holy
nice.
shit, Phoenix
Also-
TX, they didn't lose a step. They were so good. So much
Since
fun.
you mentioned that, spoilers, I was very sad to see Unwritten Law wasn't on here.
I
Oh,
debated
they were
it.
on my
But-
short list.
But
I
they're
debated it.
also, they're one of those influential bands that kind of lean
they were
in other genres.
Unwritten Law
But
was on my
Seeing Red
Unwritten
was
Law
close.
on my long list.
Not that
Yeah.
poppy though. Honestly, not that poppy.
yeah, I know. I think they're so influential, and I
For
was
sure.
like, I can only have so many like bands that I consider.
Well,
super
and that
influential
being said,
on my list.
and if anyone else has anything to say on mine, Tim, you were talking, but you want to start your playlist.
Yeah, let's get mine. Let's unveil my four here. So we have, to start off, we have "I'm Trying" from Face to Face, "Talking" by Descendants, "My Girlfriend's Dead" from the Vandals, and "Fat Lip" from Sum 41. So, what do I have to say about these? "I'm Trying." This song came out in like '95, I want to say, or maybe maybe earlier than that. Hold on, I'm just gonna go to my notes real quick. I believe it was actually '92. But I heard this song in high school on a compilation CD that came out in 1998 called 5 Years from the Street from Vagrant Records. And this song was on it, along with a bunch of other songs that I absolutely love. But this song, I don't know, I just think it's really great. Face to Face has some like more popular songs, but I think this song is super great, and I think it's got some interesting things that it's trying to say, on top of just being really catchy. Now, it definitely leans, like a lot of my list does, leans more punk, but I really love this song, and I specifically put the live version of this song that on here because that was the version I heard on that album. I do love the actual album version, but for some reason I just really like the live version of this song. Minus there's like at the very end there's some like talking and stuff that's on this track, but the song itself is great. Talking, the Descendants, I think like they're one of like probably the most, for me, like influential band on my list in terms of like influencing pop punk. I mean, they were an early 80s band. They put out lots of records over their history. It was kind of like their like career was kind of like following their singer Milo, who this will also be a running thing. Milo Ackerman, the singer of Descendants, has a PhD in biology, so he's a very smart man. But yeah, this song is just I think it's catchy and it's simple, so I think it fits in the mold of pop punk because of the hookiness of it. My Girlfriend's Dead by the Vandals is just kind of it starts off like really silly, but what it's kind of having to say is someone just would rather just make shit up and not deal with reality because reality sucks more than like just not worrying about it. But it's super like kind of silly and catchy and kind of morbid. And then Fat Lip. I mean, this song came out in high school. I absolutely love Sum 41. Not my favorite Sum 41 song, but I felt like this was the song that I wanted on this list to represent them. I really love the music video too, with like the intro, like where they're in the convenience store doing the freestyle. That's not on like the album or anything, but it's a great like little bit to the song that you get with the music video. That's great, and the drummer is fantastic. He's I don't think in the band anymore, but he is one of the singers. He's like a co-lead singer, which is really cool and interesting for a punk band. But yeah, I mean, those are my four. I think probably the Vandals and the Fat Lip and Sum 41. So Sum 41 and the Vandals are probably the closest to pop punk. But yeah.
Before I was just going to say, before you get too far away, that that rap that is on the beginning of that music video is actually from a different song that they do, and I think it's on Half Hour of Power, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's from a different song that they do, and I think they're just it winds up at the beginning of that video because I think they're trying to prove to a convenience store clerk that they're musicians. And so it actually, you mentioned the American Pie soundtracks, but I will say this is from...
Yeah, this is also on American Pie, too.
Yes, but that rap was another Spider-Man song. I can't remember whether it was from 1 or 2, but Rocket's What We're All About, they actually redid that song for a soundtrack, and I remember the music video where they're literally playing on the ceiling, jumping up and down, and rapping because it was a Spider-Man album.
One other thing I wanted to say real quick about Face to Face. Another reason I love them specifically is I'm a giant Social Distortion fan, and the Trevor Fisher, I think Trevor Keith, the lead singer for Face to Face, his voice reminds me a lot of Mike Ness from Social Distortion, which I love. I love that deeper kind of voice.
And I mean, this kind of gives you a peek into the rest of Tim's list, and this is why I'm so glad that Tim was part of this and the de facto head of this, because like we don't have pop punk without punk. And a lot of bands like the Vandals and the Descendants and Face to Face are and who were we just talking about? Unwritten Law.
Yeah.
Like they're so on the verge of like
very
punk
old school
to pop. They're like punk to pop punk verge, and we're gonna bring up to some more of these bands in a bit, but older Green Day is the same way. It's on the verge of punk to pop punk. We have a lot more songs like Checkmarks and Dear Maria that are on the verge of pop as opposed to the punk edge. So I'm glad Tim's kind of here to even us out on that. I will say Girlfriend's Not Dead I hadn't heard before. And I've listened to the Descendants, but I didn't know Talking specifically. Fucking love those two songs. They're so good.
They are. The Descendants are... I mean, yeah, this is like a lesser-known song, and it came out in 2004-ish. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely like more like prominent songs from them, but I thought this was a good like pop-punky sounding song.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, what do you got?
As far as the rest of them, they weren't like I knew Face to Face from a different song and a little bit differently, and I knew of the rest of the bands. Like I'd heard of them, but I hadn't listened to them for any length of time. So I was happy these were the ones that you picked because it was very I like it. I like it. It's enlightening. You can see where that direct line is being drawn from the simple 4 chords and like some fast guitars and simple lyrics, and you can see definitely where it comes from and where it's going with a lot of the rest of these lists. And you can say that about all of them, and probably more of what we're going to come up to. And like I enjoyed all of them, every song that you'd picked, and I was actually kind of surprised because like going through our list, we could kind of guess, like you could see 10 who did what, but then like I love to listen to things on shuffle, so I'm listening to it on shuffle, and I never thought about it. I'm like, who picked Fat Lip? So then seeing it pop up on yours, I'm like, that kind of surprised me. So
Sum 41 was a late addition whenever I kind of saw the playlist, and I was like, I think we had discussed, some of us were discussing their songs, and I was under the impression that Sum 41 wasn't even going to be on our list, so I had to throw that on there. And it wasn't the song it's not my favorite song.
Which one would you put on?
I like the Hell song a lot, but I felt
That's a great song.
but I felt like this was just a really good, like, for a playlist. I feel like this is a better song.
The one Sum 41 song I would have picked did end up on the list, so we'll talk about it later.
James, what do you guys say?
Yeah, actually, Sum 41 was the only song on here that I knew previously, and I love my Fat Lip, but I think if I was gonna pick one, I was gonna do In Too Deep. I love that song, and it was really close on my short list. I think I had it on there before I decided to put Cartel in them one, so a couple things had to go. But yeah, I really enjoyed the other songs. I hadn't heard them before. Yeah, we can quibble over whether it's punk or pop punk, but I mean, if it's on this list right now, we're all deciding that it's pop punk. So
right. If something,
let's skip arguing about what makes the genre. If it's on this list, we all didn't disagree, or else we would have said something in the chat.
Yeah. I don't think we're arguing it, but I do think it's a good point to discuss it because it is
it's an interesting conversation to have.
And if we're gonna have this playlist, we have to have that conversation.
Yeah.
But David B, if you have anything to say it. Otherwise, go to your list.
I mostly echoed Dan's sentiment. Like, I knew Fat Lip, obviously. The other three I wasn't so familiar with. This is like one of those things where I was like, this definitely felt like it leaned more to punk for me personally. But then if we're talking about, again, for me, the umbrella is punk. Like, it's punk. That's the head. That's the king of the table. And everything else is like sitting at the table. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if Tim is kind of like the precursor of pop punk, I may be the predecessor of pop punk. So,
well, let's hear it.
Oh boy, I put mine on shuffle, so let's see what happens. Cause I'm chaotic, baby. Here we go. I got "What's It Feel Like to Be a Ghost" by Taking Back Sunday. I'm made of wax, Larry. What are you made of? By A Day to Remember. We're All to Blame by Sum 41. Thank you, Chris, for that, by the way. And Devotion and Desire by Bayside. Mm-hmm. So to me, again, this was like very difficult because I've always been a procrastinator all my life. So everyone started doing their playlist and I hadn't done mine yet. And when I started doing mine, I was like, shit, someone already chose that. Crap, someone already chose that. So it was like, okay, what do I consider, to me growing up, that was like pop punk, or, you know, even before someone else defined it later, like growing up, what did I think was like, oh, this is punk? Because I had no other way to describe it. You know what I mean? And obviously now talking to you guys, there's like the discussion, it's post-hardcore, it's blah, 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 blah. But to me,
A Day to Remember is definitely either post-hardcore or easycore, but I'm glad they're on the list.
That's the thing too, right? Because it's like, to me, I was talking to Sean about this too, because I was like, would A Day to Remember be considered pop punk? And you were like, they definitely have pop punk elements to it. And
so arguably, diplomatic of you.
Arguably,
like, again, I don't mean to. Sorry, David. I don't mean to cut you off, but again,
no, you're good.
My whole it's my favorite. Like, it's my favorite genre: pop punk, post-hardcore, easycore, hardcore. Like, in my brain, they're one genre. And
my brain too. My brain too. That was the problem.
That's why I think it's important to discuss, like, is this pop punk or not, as we move through it.
Well, here's the thing too. I will say this. Arguably, I probably didn't choose because they have songs that are like way more poppy than I'm Made of Wax, Larry. What are you made of? But that chorus to me, and this is where I chose it, the chorus to me for A Day to Remember is very pop punk. They even got like the O's that you would normally hear, like, oh, like you would normally hear in like a pop punk chorus. But then they got the brutal heavy breakdown and the screaming and stuff like that, and they go back. It's a weird hodgepodge of all those genres that Sean listed. So that's why I put him on there. What's it feel like to be a ghost? Has that energy to me that just feels punk. You could argue it's post-hardcore, or like maybe even argue alternative rock, maybe. But it's got like that voice and the topic, especially. You know what I mean? That to me just kind of screams. It's at the very least it's punkish to me. So. And then We're All to Blame by Sum 41. It's personally my favorite song. It's probably not their most pop punk song. And this is probably not even their most pop punk album.
But that's the one I would have put on.
But that's what I love about it too, because it is pop punk, but it isn't at the same time. It's like, again, this weird amalgamation of like, it's a bunch of different things in one. Like this song has like, it does have the pop punk elements, also has like metal elements, thrash metal elements to be specific. And it's got like the vocals are kind of punky, but they're also kind of hardcore. So it's like, again, it's like that umbrella for me too.
And it's not an American Pie 2, but it is in. It is in what movie, David B?
Ooh, We're All to
It's
Blame.
in the greatest Godzilla movie from Toho of all time, Godzilla Final Wars. And they fuck up Godzilla 98
which is a real pop punk movie.
Yeah, it honestly is. Out of all the Godzilla films, if we're like, which Godzilla film is the most punk? It's that one.
Final Wars.
It's Final Wars. So that's another reason why I put it on, Sean. Thank you for noticing me. And then the other song, and this is where it gets weird, because like I would put Bayside and punk. I don't know, a lot of people would debate if it's pop punk, but to me, Bayside has the qualities that I think of a pop punk. It has like the melodies, the hooks, and it's got like the consistent chord progression where it's like it's the same chord progression throughout the whole song. Yeah, maybe they drop it an octave or whatever, but it's the same 4 chords every time. So, and then it's Bayside, like they are a punk band to me. So,
see, and they're, to me, they're that modern pop punk.
Yeah.
Vein.
Yeah. I think...
that's...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like modern pop punk. Yeah, and I had to do it for the Dannies. They know who they
all
are.
right. So first, before you guys get all positive, I want to poop all over this.
Yes, yes.
I don't agree with any of these. In my head, none of this is pop punk. Bayside. Oh, okay. I'll rant. I love
End our friendship, Dan. End our friendship.
I love Bayside very, 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 very much. But I would never consider them pop punk. The Taking Back Sunday song you picked, like they're all of these are very like right beside. They're like very close to it. But for me personally, they're too heavy. They're too hard. You don't get those hooks as far as lead lines go. And you get way more like, you get a little bit of double bass coming through with some pop punk, but not a lot typically. But I'm excited for the rest of the panel just to be like, no, you're wrong. Because when
no, you're wrong.
Okay. When I saw all of these, I think I messaged Sean. I'm like, are any of these pop punk? And he was kind of like,
we kind of had that conversation. But that's it. Okay. Here's the other thing, right? I don't have a Vans Warped Tour shirt that fits me anymore.
I'm wearing a shirt of a band I didn't put on this list.
But I think that if a band played on Vans Warped Tour, they're close enough to pop punk.
In which case, yes, all of these easily qualify. Easily. Also, you can't see it, but off to the side, on the other side of the screen that way, PJ's list is just 10 Coheed songs.
Yeah,
but that's I would argue that is not pop punk at all.
Right, we told him that's why he's not on the panel.
And that's kind of where my brain goes to where it's just like Bayside. And that's the thing is like during this time, during my formative years where you got my first 4 songs, I didn't listen to Bayside. I didn't like them at all. And then there was one point in time, I swear to God, this song, Devotion and Desire, was stuck in my head for 6 months. I shit you not. It was in my head for that long. And then like their band, they say cult. Like Bayside is a cult. Literally, it was in my head for so long. I loved the band, and then I went back and like binged the rest of it. But it's just personally, they're very close to my heart. They're post-hardcore. I love them to death, but I do not qualify them as pop punk.
I would love that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna poo-poo on the list. I'm not gonna poo-poo on the list like Dan, but I would agree. Like, it's not very quote unquote pop punky, even though like my list isn't either. But I think David, I mean, you already mentioned it. I mean, I'm on one side and David's on the opposite side. So I think this definitely represents like the evolution like what would come after pop punk, because pop punk kind of declined in popularity. I mean, we all have loved it, but like it did
08?
decline. It declined in popularity, and it's kind of like in a resurgence now. But what came out of that decline were bands like that are what David's representing here. Now, I think with the late edition of Sum 41 is the closest to the pop punk vein, and then I would go from there. I would go to Bayside being the next in that stage, and then I would say Taking Back Sunday, and then.
Song is so heavy though. That Sum 41 song,
I'm here to fuck shit up, boys.
I love it.
Overlay. So it won't show up on the overlay, but I do want to mention.
Yeah,
that was my audible.
Amberlyn was the song.
We did audible. David B did audible Amberlyn off here,
which I also think straddles the line. I don't think it.
Which really straddles the line.
I think honestly, personally, that's closer than anything else of these last four. Personally,
really,
I think Sum 41. I think it is. Yeah,
but that Sum 41 song.
I mean, that Sum 41 song is harder for sure. But
it's way harder.
But like, yeah, I think Amberlyn would have been like closer than the other ones. But I'm not mad that Amberlyn's not on the list. I mean, they're good, but
I love Amberlyn. But agreed.
I love Amberlyn too.
I love the tooth and nail representation.
So this is the discussion I wanted
to.
Yeah.
This is the discussion I want to have with you boys too, because it's like, so then does that mean pop punk is dead? Because the sound of it, like Dan was pointing out, like the sound of it has to be a certain thing, so the genre can evolve.
My list, David, my top 3 songs will prove.
Machine Gun Kelly. Here to stay.
No. I got much better.
Then that answers my question that pop punk is definitely dead.
James, save us.
Yeah, what do you have to say about this, James?
James, save us.
I'm just trying to speed us along here.
I agree with Dan.
We're here for 5 hours.
Danny, donation for $2. Thank you, Danny.
I think this is not a pop punk list out of the first 4. But I do like all the songs, and I like all the bands. It's just I don't think it fits really with the spirit of pop punk more than it does with other genres. But they're all good songs. Moving on to the next person.
All right, then
you're the next person, James.
You sure you don't want to take like 10 minutes the way Dan did to shit on my list real quick?
Why reiterate it? I mean, we're already been here for an hour and 15 minutes. So we just got through the first list.
There's plenty of time for someone else to shit on the next 4. Okay?
Yeah, don't worry. Absolutely. Just wait. Yeah, my next 4 for sure. We'll start with James
next.
on that one.
It's all good. All right. So first up, I've got. I'm got to click on the right link and not on the video link. That would help. All right. So first up, I've got "The Kids Aren't Right" by The Offspring. And yeah, you can shit on that one for not being pop punk too, but it is popular. I think it's rocky. It's punk. So I agree.
Absolutely pop punk.
Yeah,
I agree. Okay,
quintessential.
So, thank you.
Fit there for sure.
And the Offspring are a fantastic band. Talking about lead singers that have degrees and or doctorates.
Yep, he does.
Dexter's got a doctorate, I believe, in biology or something like that.
Microbiology. Yep. He worked on some HIV stuff. So.
Yeah. Yep. Ridiculous. Super smart guy. Super great band. Amazing song. Next, I write Sins Not Tragedies, Panic at the Disco. I will agree that this one is not completely pop punk, of the band especially, like Sean pointed out earlier. But it's definitely kind of a pop punk song. And that song just hit one of my last years in college. And I remember everybody in my fraternity was just obsessed with Panic at the Disco. That album just
hit my sophomore year of high school.
I know I'm old, man.
I was in college too.
Thank you.
You're fine, James. I was in college
too. I went to University of Florida, and literally like 7 of us were planning on just like packing in a car and driving out to Tampa because Panic was playing. This whole album was just played on like a constant rotation, along with the Kenny Chesney and all the other shitty country albums that we played.
Songs.
Yep. So after that, I've got Hit or Miss from Newfound Glory.
There you go.
That is the quintessential Newfound Glory song for me. That album, it's so good, and it hit with me. I think my senior year in high school, junior year maybe. I can't remember exactly. But I remember I was at a skate park, and Tony Hawk and Bucky Lasek and all these like skaters from the late 90s were all there. And it was in my little teeny tiny town in Florida. And they were throwing out like gifts and everything. And one of the gifts that I got like thrown out to in the crowd, I snatched a Newfound Glory album. It was this album, and I listened to it nonstop. And Tony Hawk also like threw me a wheel and he autographed it, and it's great. I still have it. But this album is what I remember most about that. Like I love Newfound Glory, and I found out later on when I went in college, one of my fraternity brothers was in Newfound Glory before they hit it big. He was their drummer, and then he decided to quit the band to go to college and give up on the dream, and then they hit it big after he left.
Before Cyrus, that's so funny.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, it sucks. I mean, he basically got Ringo'd, and that's the way it is. And then my last song out of this group is Sugar We're Going Down, Fall Out Boy. I mean,
Absolutely.
that is the quintessential Fall Out Boy like pop punk hit. And again, I was in college when this song came out, and I remember everywhere we went, as soon as you turn it on the radio, it doesn't matter what station was on, Sugar We're Going Down is playing on that station. And that really just sent Fall Out Boy over the moon, and then you had hit after hit after hit with that.
All right, let me say something about James's list.
All right.
Do it.
David B.
David, you can start us
end
off.
your
Do it.
friendship with James. Go ahead.
All right, James, this is what I think of your list, buddy. It's solid.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I think this is solid.
I think it's solid.
Like
Again, I said
like-
this earlier too, like not to cut you off, Sean, but
No.
I'm cutting you off.
Do it.
Honestly, all the songs to me fall under that pop punk umbrella. To me, that's the thing. So I'm like not mad about any of these. Like, sure, you can make the argument it leans towards, some songs lean towards one way or the other, but it still has that punk element, and it's poppy. Like, you can instantly recognize the melody, you can sing the choruses in your head after one or two listens, and that to me qualifies as the pop element of it, and then the punk element being like the drums and the guitars and what have you. So yeah. I mean,
Dano?
yeah.
Tim?
Damn it! I need to be meaner.
The Offspring are like a quintessential like pop punk and punk band. They belong on this list, and this is a great song. It's got great, like, just the guitar riffs. The open are great, and throughout the song are awesome. The Panic at the Disco and Fall Out Boy, I love both these bands, but to me, they kind of like were the like start of like the changing of like the genre for me, and kind of like even though I like them a lot, I kind of lost interest in like the direction of pop punk after this. And I'm sure there's a lot of bands that I haven't listened to that came after this that I would like. I'm sure I just kind of sort of lost the interest in it, and then I started moving towards like the harder side of like punk, where I started listening to like the Misfits and stuff a lot. But and then Newfound Glory, real quick. This song is great. This is like this was like the song that put them on the map. And also, you guessed it, this song is an American Pie too.
So, Tim, you said something there that our age difference is going to show a little bit, because I think you're about 8 years older than I am.
I just turned 37.
Okay, so you're 7 years older than I am. So, for me, I knew Green Day, I knew Simple Plan, whatever. I knew Blink-182.
Right.
But Fall Out Boy was kind of my introduction into pop punk.
Yeah.
And that really shows that age difference there.
And I actually think Fall Out Boy's first album is their like closest to pop punk.
Yeah.
For me.
I mean, From Under the
I
Cork
love
Tree-
that. I like that album more than any other albums, but to me, that's because it's the closest to like what I identify and what I like the most about pop punk.
Was Under the Corkscrew their first album? Was that their first
No,
album?
this is the second
From
one.
Under the Cork Tree is no. Sorry, Take This to Your Grave.
Take This
is
to
their
Your
first.
Grave was their
Was
first.
their
From
first
Under
album.
the Cork
Yeah.
Tree is their second.
Yeah.
But most people found Take This to Your Grave because of From Under the Cork Tree.
True,
Yeah.
true, they did for sure.
Because again, that's also in the
Yep.
era where iTunes is a new thing, right? Getting digital music is a new thing at this era.
Yeah.
So, I think Sugar We're Going Down, or Dance Dance, whichever one you want to put on. Spoiler: Dance Dance did not make the list. Anything from Take This or From Under the Cork Tree, I think definitely needs to be on this list, because for my generation, those of us that are turning 30 or 28 or 29 this year, that's our pop punk, right? That's our foundation. Dano, you got a lot to say.
I always have a lot to say, especially about this type of genres of music. Most of hit or miss, obviously, all-timer, classic. Fall Out Boy, I was debating putting on a song. The only song I felt that could have superseded this or Dance Dance would have been Grand Theft Autumn, and that was off of Take This to Your Grave, which is like their quintessential pop punk for me. Panic, For a very long time, I had an issue with Panic because, to tie it into another song on your playlist, James, the very first tour the Academy is headlined, Panic was the main support. So I went to see that tour. Everyone showed up for Panic, and more than half the crowd left. And I'm like, you sons of bitches! Like,
so I had that happen at a Nine Inch Nails concert, because Jane's Addiction was technically main support. But they played after Nine Inch Nails. So everyone left for Jane's Addiction. By the way, they're not that great live.
No, I was going to say, how do you follow Nine Inch Nails?
Jeremy, Jeremy in the chat, I turned 30 this year.
You youngin'.
And the only other thing, the Offspring, like, is probably the closest. I would say the Offspring is closest to pop punk, like, versus David B. and that shit heap that he threw at us. I'm just gonna lean into this. I'm gonna own it.
Dan's going full heel.
Full heel. David B. You son of a bitch.
I think like the Kids Aren't Alright, Offspring, like that to me. No, that's your definite. Like that's your foundation for pop punk.
Also, Offspring is an interesting band because they've been around for a long time before Americana, but Americana was like the album that really kind of like skyrocketed them to like stardom. Mostly because of Pretty Fly for a White Guy, but like everything.
And Why Don't You Get a Job?
They had so many songs on that album, and they've also put out like good songs since that album. I mean, they've had a lot of really great songs.
There was a really good album a couple years ago. They had
Hammerhead was on there.
That's
I can't remember the name of the album.
I can't remember the album either.
A decade ago, guys.
No, it wasn't really.
Yes, it was.
Oh, that was not in 2009.
Yes.
I will look it up. I have a second monitor for these occasions.
Dan, you look it up. I'm going to my list so we can keep this moving. I've got My Entire Life by City Lights, a band none of you have probably heard of, but they are damn good modern pop punk. And again, I say modern pop punk, but they are like 6 years old and they don't make music anymore. Bored to Death by Blink-182, because again, I wanted to make sure to have some more modern stuff on there. I think Bored to Death is a great example of modern pop punk coming from a more retro, I hate to say it, retro pop punk band.
Veterans. What are you saying?
What are you
Seriously.
saying?
Blink-182 is now old, guys.
You're trying to treat me like Roka.
Lights and Sounds by Yellowcard. I love Yellowcard. I grew up with Yellowcard. First cassette I had in my car was Ocean Avenue.
Yep.
So,
cassette.
And then 1985 by SR71. So here is...
Go on, Sean.
Here's my soapbox, guys.
Go on.
Here's my soapbox. We already have Bowling for Soup on this list.
Yeah.
Everyone knows...
I actually like the song that we have on there better anyways for Bowling for Soup.
I do too. For Bowling for Soup, I do.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the song 1985, but you know the Bowling for Soup version because Bowling for Soup got famous off a song they didn't write. Now, they're friends with SR71, that's why they covered it, but...
They did the old Elvis routine, getting famous off songs you didn't write.
Right, Elvis or Alien Ant Farm.
They didn't appropriate SR71.
I thought about it, Sean.
So here's the thing.
I thought about it too, Dan.
If you've never heard SR71's version of 1985, go listen to it. It's way better than the one you know. It's also a lot more pop punk. It's a lot more punk rather than pop.
Yeah.
If we're making that argument. I don't have a lot to say about the other ones. City Lights, if you haven't heard them, they're a good kind of representation of that turning point in pop punk where it gets that kind of easy core vibe. They didn't really make a splash. They weren't that good, that famous, but they were great while they were around. I think they were only around for like a year or two. Like,
aren't they still making music ish?
I don't think so.
I was gonna say also you were right, and James, you ready for the collective groan? It was 2008 that Rise and Fall, Rage and Grace came out.
Was that the song? Was that the album that had "You're Gonna Go Far, Kid"? Because that was
Hammerhead was the
You're Gonna Go Far, Kid.
was the release.
Yeah. 8.
Oh no, I don't see "You're Gonna Go Far, Kid" on here.
Yeah, that was the.
Oh no, it is on there. It is on there. I take that back.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Sean.
Sorry, you guys are old and you forget that. That came out when I was a junior in high school.
I feel seen.
Yeah,
That was the year I
Sean,
graduated,
trust me.
probably.
Once you hit 30, all time just like
I
kind
know.
of just
Time's
blends
already
together.
stopped
Yes.
for me.
Yep.
Time, Franco.
You
Uh,
become an alternate version of yourself and just explore all the
I
time.
hate time. I hate
Franco.
time. Make it stop.
Make it stop.
Stop. Stop.
Stop.
And bring back. All right, let's hit this quick and
I,
then go to Maxwell.
I will talk about these real quick, and then we'll move around. But I hadn't heard my entire life or Bored to Death. I really enjoyed the My Entire Life song. I liked Bored to Death a lot. I have a weird relationship. Like Blink-182 is one of my favorite. Is like my second favorite like pop punk band of all time. But I don't really love like later Blink. But what I love about this song is because what I like about later Blink is when Mark sings. I don't like Matt Skiba singing, which is weird because I love Matt Skiba's voice. I love Alkaline Trio. I love Alkaline Trio. But like, I don't think what I want in Blink-182 when I want to hear a Tom DeLonge song, I want to hear Tom DeLonge's voice because he doesn't have a great voice. Like I want to hear a shitty voice, and like Matt Skiba has a way better voice than Tom DeLonge.
Yeah.
So like it throws me off. Like when I like if it's a song that's original to him, that's fine. But it also I don't really identify it as Blink, and that's my own problem. I accept that, but like I do like this song a lot because it is a Mark Hoppus song. And it's interesting. What I found really interesting about this song, actually, is the intro sounds exactly like "Feeling This."
Yeah.
Like I played it. Like because what I heard, I was like, "Holy shit!" Like, and I played it back, and I went and listened to "Feeling This." It's like almost exactly the same.
Very
So
similar,
it's
sure.
very similar. Lights and Sounds. I mean, I love Yellow Card's iconic. I mean, how can you not have a pop punk band that has a violin in it? I mean, that's great. And then this version of 1985, I think, is better, superior. It's harder, and yeah, I really like it. So those are my thoughts on those. And Dan wants to tear me down for my Bleak.
No. I don't want to tear you down for this. I want to piggyback actually on what you were saying.
Yeah.
I think you should listen to Blink's most recent album. I think you might like that a lot more.
Yep.
They just came out with 9, and I feel like
Yeah, I need to check it out.
I like Bored to Death a lot, but I feel like as far as Blink goes, 9 does a much better job of incorporating Skiba and using his talents. Whereas it's like in California, which is the album this was on, I felt like a lot of it was like Skiba trying to be Tom, which came off kind of weird. But 9 has a lot more of like, you can tell there it's a much more collaborative effort, and I like that album a little bit more on a whole. But I do like Bored to Death a lot, and I'll finish. City Lights. I had always heard about City Lights, but I just never listened to them, and I really enjoyed this song. Lights and Sounds, Yellow Card. That's the song. Gifts and Curses was the Yellow Card song that I had to cut from my list because it wasn't on Spotify. So having Lights and Sounds pop up here was the only one. And the only thing I'll shit on Sean for is I won't take this besmirchment for Right Now because that is a goddamn amazing pop punk song.
Thank you.
And should have
almost
been on
made my
this
list.
somewhere. It's
Yep.
such a good song. That's it. I don't have any poo-pooing.
James, what you got?
Yeah, no, I completely agree about Right Now because that was actually going to be on my list. And yeah, I agree about Skiba. He doesn't really fit in on California, but I like 9 a lot. And yeah, I miss when I think Blink, I think of Tom and Mark, and I still haven't gotten accustomed to him. But I do like the new album a lot. I'm getting there with that. But still, Blink in my mind, it's Mark, Tom, and Travis, and it's hard to get past that right now.
It's funny because I almost put I was shuffling between Blink-182 and Plus 44 for my list.
Mm-hmm.
And they both have the same problem.
Plus 44 is good. I like Plus 44.
I was gonna say, I think you sent me a rough copy, and you had Plus 44 on there, and I went, ooh.
Yeah.
Like I liked that as a bold choice.
And actually, I completely messed up my earlier thought when I was talking about the American Hi-Fi song because it was definitely Right Now that I heard the acoustic version because they played the acoustic solo in that one. Yeah, and SR71 was in studio and they had an Oriole hat on, so I was excited. Yeah, the rest of the list, I like it. We've talked about it a lot, but I really agree. I probably would have put, if you're gonna go a different Blink song, I think there would have been a couple other ones I would have picked from their earlier catalog that's more pop punk.
Don't worry, we got more
those are
Blink,
here.
Which we may get to.
We do.
Yeah,
we
we got
may
some
get some
Blink
more.
Don't worry.
But yeah, I really like the list.
David
what
B.
you
Wreck
got?
me.
No, I love you. I can't. Yeah, I liked all the songs, man. I do want to just point something out real quick. Something I thought was very interesting about your list. My Entire Life has a very sick double bass blast beat in the beginning. Very reminiscent to Day to Remember, and I'm surprised Dan didn't shit on that. So
Nope.
let's move on, please.
He did not.
Let's move on. I'm
You and
starting
I
to
are
see.
now
I'm
mortal
starting,
enemies.
All right.
I'm starting to see
also,
patterns.
I forgot to mention about 1985 though. So 1985 was written in 2004. So if you were to write that song today, it would be about things in 2002. So it would be all talking about Creed and
but it
The
also might
Calling
talk
and
about-
Puddle of Mud
Why would you say that? What?
and Spider-Man,
No.
Why would you ruin a good thing for
Why
us?
would you do that?
Harry Potter and the Chamber of
To
Secrets.
go, away,
you know?
to go away from that bad thought, I'm gonna unveil Maxwell.
Oh yeah, please. Let's move on before James makes us
For
all
Maxwell's
cry.
next four, we have
Oh,
Check Yes Juliet by We the Kings.
whoa.
Whoa. Me versus everyone.
I love you putting that together.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa!
We got Brain Stew by Green Day, and If You See Jordan, Something Corporate.
Yes.
So who's gonna kick us off here? Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, like, Forever the Sickest Kids, Something Corporate, they fall into like the same category for me as Bayside and as trying to look at what's been revealed here. The Starting Line, Newfound Glory, City Lights, State Champs. They're kind of that like. They're not the huge bands everyone knows like Fall Out Boy and Blink-182, but they're like that's the heart of pop punk for me. So I'm glad they made this list. Yeah, sure. Maybe sometimes they fall into easycore or whatever. Easycore is pop punk, ultimately. So, Brain Stew, great example of foundational pop punk. And Check Yes Juliet, my pop punk band covered that in high school. So,
I wasn't actually familiar with Check Yes Juliet, so like the We the Kings was like a new band for me, which I really enjoyed it, and I'm actually looking forward to exploring them.
they do a real good Hamilton cover.
I agree with Oh yeah. Oh, all right. I do like the pop punky covers a lot, so we can do a whole playlist on pop punk covers. Let's see here. I agree that something corporate and Forever the Sickest Kids kind of lean into that transition that pop punk did. So I wasn't as familiar with. I know these songs, but I wasn't as familiar with like that transition. Although I do love If You See Jordan a lot. And then, of course, Brain Stew. I mean, Green Day is like a Mount Rushmore level like pop punk band to me. So, like, yeah, to see them on a list is not surprising, and we will probably see them more. So let's those are my thoughts. Great songs though. Dan.
Love it. Love all of these. Check Yes Juliet seems like a no-brainer. Whoa. It was a great one. That was another one of those earworms. I remember there was a big thing when Forever the Sickest Kids came out, and they had an endorsement from Paris Hilton, and that was one of their claims to fame, which was a very strange, like, place hook to hang your hat on in these days.
Especially for a pop punk band.
Oh
like,
yeah, for sure.
For a
They were
punk band.
They were one of those ones too, kind of like the Click 5 that were like kind of low key manufactured. Green Day, again, Brain Stew, all timer. Something Corporate, for those of you who are watching who don't remember Something Corporate, you might know their big brother in Jack's Mannequin, which was Andrew McMahon post cancer and coming back. But like, all these songs, I'm just very happy, and I don't think I saw We the Kings, but I think I've seen everybody else live, and they're all a lot of fun.
James.
Yeah, I was so excited to see If You See Jordan on there because I completely forgot about Something Corporate. I forgot about that band, and that was one of those ones that as soon as it started playing, I was like, holy shit, I completely forgot about this song. I remember it. And it reminded me of the other one is that I woke up in a car. I remember playing that song constantly. So it was really fun to see them again. I find it blasphemous that Brain Stew is on here by itself without Jaded. That's one song in my mind. Brain Stew / Jaded.
I said the same thing.
It's one of my go-tos when I'm listening to a radio station and they're playing Brain Stew. If it's not immediately followed by Jaded, I don't trust that radio station. I don't listen to you ever again. Check Yes Juliet. It's a fantastic song. I was so happy to hear that on there. And the other one I wasn't really familiar with until I heard it, and then it sparked a bell. And I was like, oh yeah, I definitely have heard that song before again. So yeah, great 4 songs. Love this list.
David B.
Yeah, echoing everyone else's sentiments. Check As Juliet is like the only We the King songs I know, so of course it should be on there.
Most people.
Same.
Yeah.
Brain Stew, even though arguably it's probably one of their more punk-leaning songs,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will totally agree that Green Day is like Mount Rushmore of pop punk bands. There's like no way anyone can really argue that. Forever the Sick of Kids and Something Corporate, I never really listened to them, so it was really interesting to see that. To me, and you guys can correct me because I don't know who came first, but Something Corporate really sounded like a lot like Weezer to me.
I'm pretty sure Weezer was first.
Technically Weezer, yeah.
Yeah, Weezer
So-
was early 90s.
I was getting a lot of like Blue Album vibes from that song.
Blue
So-
Album is so good.
That's another band I wanted to put on here, but I didn't feel like they were super pop punk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same.
they're just.
There was a couple songs I was really considering though.
They have songs that really lean that way for sure.
Yeah.
And you just throw in there.
Like, oddly enough, Beverly Hills, I think, is a song that like really leans pop punk.
Beverly Hills,
Yeah.
Island in the Sun is very pop punky to me.
I still think
Yeah.
Buddy Holly's pop punk too.
Buddy
Yeah,
Holly.
Buddy
Buddy
Holly is. Yeah.
That's the one I was
Oh,
really
yeah.
thinking
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
Hash Pipe kind of fits the Offspring early Green Day
Yeah.
The
mold.
sweater song.
There's such
Oh,
a
yeah.
wide. Yeah. They stretch. Like they don't have a single
they're all
sound
over the
for real.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect situation.
But yeah,
I love
like
that song. I forgot about that song. Yeah.
Music
My favorite
video.
Weezer
That's a
song.
great
and I
with the
don't know it
Muppets?
exists.
Elisa Cuthbert.
But yeah, I love Maxwell and I love his list. So
Nice. We love you, Maxwell.
Cool.
That doesn't take away.
No,
Dano.
no poo-poo in here.
Yeah, Dan.
Dan,
All
on
right,
your list.
I can do it this time. I think I can do
You
it.
can do it.
Yeah. So
Well, Chris Clark has vanished, so we can't read Streamlabs.
Perfect.
So, I think it was
Is there
Danny
one?
who put in a Streamlab, right?
Yeah,
Danny
you put a $50
Streamlab
stream
that we
lab,
can't
which we
read.
appreciate
So.
very much.
thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
And so for those of you who don't know this song immediately as soon as I click it, this is the song from Euro Trip.
This song was not in American Pie 2.
No, it was
No,
not.
it was in
American
Euro
Pie.
Trip.
It was in
If
Euro
we
Trip.
don't know, everyone knows Scotty
does
doesn't
it
know.
does it
doesn't know.
technically count if it wasn't an American Pie? Just kidding.
Maybe like the rest
You know
of
what? This is
these.
off the list. Sorry,
Yeah, thank you.
No.
we're getting Amberlin goes in this spot.
If this is Survivor Island, I'm using my save right now.
Oh, we're saving Lustra. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, as soon as that's one of the reasons I wanted to put this on there. I think I had another. I'd have to check my master playlist. There was another song from a movie that was also very pop punk, but this is like the one. As soon as they hit that opening line, you know it's a pop punk song through and through. As soon as you hear the first opening like lead line, it's just goosebumps, and then it fits in seamlessly into the movie. It just that song makes me really happy, which is why I wanted to put it on this list. Motion City soundtrack, I felt like was like Sean brought up earlier. This is one of those bands that was in and around this genre, and this was probably arguably their most popular song, and they are to this day one of my favorite bands, and the fact that more people don't know who they are makes me really, 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 really sad, because this song is another earworm, and like everything about it, like
Fun fact for all you Schmodown fans: Motion City Soundtrack is the favorite band of one Alex Damon.
Oh, nice.
And Alex Damon and I are now very good friends because
I was really curious who put this song on the list.
No, Dan, I'm sorry. Ferris owns that title.
Ferris
sorry.
is already-
Okay. Well, Ferris and I will fight.
You have to fight to the
We'll
death,
fight
Ferris,
to
for
the
that
death. It'll
title.
be okay.
Yeah.
Over Zoom.
Yeah.
We're gonna fight to the death over Zoom.
Were
It's
you
gonna
there when
happen.
I had Ferris and Alex on the same stream, David B?
Yeah, I was there, dude. We won squadrons that day.
So the next one I picked is going to be another one that I'm sure is from a smaller band that I would be shocked. I think Sean might have he'd heard of them, but the Swellers is one of those.
I thought this was a Tim song.
Oh, did you?
Nope, I'd never heard this song.
So the Swellers is one of those bands, and this is not to say this is a bad thing. Every Swellers song you will hear and you'll be like, I've heard that song before. But then the more you listen to it, you realize you haven't heard it, and it's just that catchy, and everything, like every song I've ever listened to by this band is that catchy and that poppy. And this isn't even their most popular song. This is just one of the ones that was like really close to me, and I'm like, I want to put this on because I want to put this on. And Dirt is just, it's not even their most popular song on that album, but like just everything about the Swellers, much like Motion City, I love forever. Mm-hmm. And then the last one, this is where I will butt up against what Sean has been saying this whole time. And this was a late edition when I couldn't have Gifts and Curses. I went ahead and put on 4 Year Strong, Wasting Time. And this is probably my most workaround as far as not a pop punk song, but quote unquote an easy core song or something by Set Your Goals, or there's a lot more driving guitars, a lot more double bass in this song. But I also feel like 4 Year Strong is kind of like we've talked about. It's like that logical conclusion. My list also, and peek behind the curtain, the thing I had Chris do at the very end is I wanted to go in backwards chronological order. So I'm getting to newer songs is what we're going to see for my last two. But I really wanted to put a 4 Year Strong song on here, even though this isn't necessarily the poppiest, but it's like another one that like they'll always end shows with this. I love that song. So David, shit on me.
I really love 4 Years Strong, and I hate that you chose them because I hate you. So.
I'm gonna shout out
I
Danny
love your-
Cost in the chat.
I love your SmackDown.
Danny in the chat. I have Best I Ever Had on my daily playlist.
That was, and Danny, that was the one when I brought it up to Sean, that was the song he knew. And I was like, it was on my side list, on my master list. And I'm like, as soon as I hear the opening chord for Dirt, kind of like Memory, the same way, once I hear that chord being like over and over and over again, I'm like, just goosebumps. Like, this is for all my friends. Yep.
Yeah. But in all honesty about Dan, I do hate him.
It's because he's so handsome, though.
I mean, honestly, I say hate, but really, I mean love. Because look at that face.
I love David
face?
too. There's so many. We're bringing it back together.
Hey,
Well, I haven't revealed my 4 yet. So don't don't go there yet. I mean, Scotty doesn't know. Like, how do you not know what that song is? Like, if you like, I can understand if it's like a kid in high school doesn't know that song, but like if you're here listening to pop punk, us talking about the
anyone
minutia and what have
25 or
you.
older better know.
Yeah,
that
you
song.
have to know this song. It's such like an iconic shit on someone's son.
his birthday.
Yeah.
She was on her knees, told him he's at church and all that stuff. But yeah, dude. I mean, again, I'm in all sincerity, like all of this falls under that category for this. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, this fits.
I think.
Yeah, honestly,
I think these are all great picks. I honestly, I really like Motion City Soundtrack. And for some reason, I had never like associated them with punk, but with pop punk, but it definitely fits. And I really love this song. And I remember when it came out, and I always appreciated the lead singer's hair. I don't know if his hair is still as crazy as it was, but he always had like super like spiky kind of wispy hair, kind of like the guy from Static X, but like not as like scary looking.
Sure.
Scotty doesn't know. I mean, everyone said it. Like my only notes on Scotty doesn't know is Euro Trip. That's all I wrote. And the whole thing. I mean, the whole thing about pop punk is it being catchy and stuff. And like this, the whole joke about this song is part of the joke with the song is it's super catchy because throughout the movie you're hearing it all in different places that they're at, or they're singing it. And I really like the techno club version at the in Bratislava. Where's the beef? But anyways, and I'd never heard the Swellers, but I really enjoyed that song.
Wait, hold on. This is a question just for James. What's that actor's name who says "Where's the beef"?
Oh God,
if
I
you
don't remember.
can't pronounce his last name, I
don't remember
hold
his
it
name,
against you.
but he plays Boris the Blade.
He does play Boris the Blade,
Oh,
and
that's
he's
right.
and he's the big
always
bad
a
in the
Russian.
Saint.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
I can't
His
remember
name
his
is
name either.
I feel like it's
Raid.
Victor something. Is it Victor
It's
something?
Raid Sherbinhammer. It's a very Eastern Bloc
Raid
European name.
Schopenhauer.
I can't pronounce it honestly. It's Raid something with like an SER and
I
then a
love-
bunch of like consonants.
Sidetrack for that movie. I love that part of the movie.
Hey, now put it in Star Wars context for Sean real quick.
Okay, Sean, in the category of numbers.
He probably played an Imperial. I could see him playing an Imperial officer in a future movie.
Oh my god, I would
Yeah,
love
for
that.
sure.
Imperial officers. I threw some of my by the numbers questions at Dan and Maxwell and James last night, and they wanted to kill me.
It was
It
hilarious.
was PJ. It was PJ who wanted to kill you.
PJ wanted to kill me.
Yes. So what about my songs?
Yeah, who hasn't talked? James, Sean?
Yeah, I haven't talked. Scotty Doesn't Know was really close to being on my list. It was on my short list. So once I saw somebody else put it on there, I felt so much better. I think Euro Trip is an underrated movie too. If you haven't seen Euro Trip, it's not just a road trip knockoff. It's so much better. It's great. I love that movie.
1,000% better than in my opinion.
And yeah, I didn't
This
know.
movie.
I didn't know that particular Sweller song, the one that I knew was the best I ever have. So yeah, I liked hearing that one too. I really liked that song. I liked Everything That's All Right. first heard that song actually on a soundtrack to a video game. It was on like MLB The Show like 06 or 07. And I remember like every time I would play that game, you know, you would hear the same songs over and over again. But every time it got to that one, I was always pumped up. I loved that song. So once I saw it on this list, it brought back a lot of baseball memories for me. But yeah, it's great 4 songs. I love these.
Sean, did
My
you
only comments on this list, I love all these bands. I love all these songs.
Nice.
Great.
All right, then we're going to move on. I am going to unveil my next 4 wacky songs, although I think, if I remember correctly, I'm starting to get a little more pop punk.
Yeah, I think you're more in vein here.
So we got, well, not with this one, but Last One to Die by Rancid. Later Rancid song. Well, not really later, I guess, but Walking Contradiction, Green Day.
Yes.
Soulmate, No Use for a Name, and Take Warning by Operation Ivy. Rancid. Okay, I'm gonna start actually with Operation Ivy. Operation Ivy to me is another one of those like really like formative bands on like the like pop punk genre and like skate punk genre, and like obviously I think probably everyone knows, but like that's essentially the original version of Rancid, because Matt Freeman, the bass player, and Tim Armstrong were in Operation Ivy. But yeah, this song is, I don't know, it's still very kind of like ska-y and skate punky, but I really love just like how raw it sounds with like the bass and the guitar, and yeah, I just think it's fantastic. They only released one album in like '89. They were kind of like a weird like thing that just kind of came and then went, and then after that we got Rancid. So after that, I'll move on to Rancid. Rancid is one of my favorite bands. Seen them live a couple times. They're fantastic. This is, like I said, a later song. I think it was 2009 from Let the Dominoes Fall, if I remember correctly. But I think it's just a lot of Rancid songs are super catchy. They're very skate punk, but like and ska, but like their stuff is very, very, very catchy and kind of like simple, like you would expect in pop punk. So I feel like it deserved to be on here, even though they straddle that line as well. And then Green Day, we already mentioned they're Mount Rushmore. This is actually my favorite Green Day song. I really love it. I remember the music video when it came out. The music video is absolutely hilarious because the whole song is just about like these guys and like just things are going wrong around them wherever they go. Essentially, that's what the song's about. So the music video just shit is just going down everywhere they are throughout the song. It's really entertaining, and the song is super catchy and super great. And then No Use for a Name, Soulmate. This song came out in like '95. I heard this song pretty early on in my pop punk. My pop punk journey really started in like '97 and like when I was in 8th grade. And this was like one of the first songs that I kind of fell in love with. Super good band, just really solid discography overall. This is my favorite song by them. Tony Sly, the singer, I really, really love his voice. And I think they're not really around anymore, unfortunately, because he did pass away in 2012. But I do love No Use for a Name very much. They're incredible. Hopefully I introduced some people to them on this by having them on here, because I think a lot of people aren't really super familiar with them. But that's my 4, and I'm sticking to it. So let's go to James. What you got?
Out of these 4, like the only one that I really knew well was Walking Contradiction. I know Rancid, but I didn't know that song so much. But Walking Contradiction is one of those Green Day songs that every time I hear it, I'm just like in such a good mood, and I always sing along to it and just bounce in my chair. And I do remember that video too. It's great. Green Day had some really good music videos in the 90s. And that was definitely one of them that just I always associate the song with music video. There's not a lot of songs that I do that to, but that's one of them. I like this list, and I liked learning the other ones. I've heard of Operation Ivy. I haven't listened to them a lot, so it was nice to listen to that song, and then I broke into a couple of different songs from theirs.
They're great.
Yeah, so yeah, I like this. It was nice to hear a few songs that I didn't know before.
David B.
Yeah. Next.
Sean.
All right. Much like Tim's earlier list, Tim's earlier 4, kind of same points. I think Tim does a great job of capturing the, primordial pop punk, if you will. Like Rancid, Operation Ivy is a band that I listened to a lot when I was a bit younger than I am now. No Use for the Name was a new band that I've never heard of. Green Day, Walking Contradiction, and I didn't talk about Brain Stew earlier when that was on here. One of the first CDs I owned was Green Day's Greatest Hits, which is weird when a band releases...
God
Was it Greatest Hits or was it International Super Hits?
International Super Hits, that's what it was.
Okay,
Which
that's
is
a little
weird.
better.
Which is weird when Green Day releases a Greatest Hits album before their highest grossing album.
Yeah, it was before American
Yeah,
Idiot.
that was.
So,
It was like right after Warning, I think.
Yeah,
I will say their
released it.
greatest hits are before that album, though. And then with
I
a couple
agree,
from that album.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like earlier Green Day much more.
I do as well. I think American Idiot for me.
I
is
love
the
American
cutoff.
Idiot, but I
American Idiot's great, but
Yeah.
I love everything on Dookie. Like I'll listen to that album from beginning to end constantly.
I like Warning a lot too. I think
And
Warning
yeah,
is good.
Warning's good. And
yeah,
I can never remember the one in the middle. I can never remember the name of the album. Insomniac. Thank you.
that's where Walking Contradiction.
Yeah.
Nimrod was the one.
Nimrod.
Yeah.
Nimrod
was
also.
the one was mine.
Yep.
I'm a little sad Max isn't here because we've talked about it previously, not on stream, but it was so I liked American Idiot, and it was a little bit later. It was when I was in college when it came out, and like I like the sound of it, but they turned it into a concept album, and then on top of it,
grade.
and then on top, powering through, holding back the tears.
So yeah,
and then
if
on
1985 was released today,
okay. But then on top of it, like when they did the musical, I went and saw the touring musical of American Idiot, and like I've grown up seeing theater shows, but then also listening to pop punk. So hearing all these professional singers singing out Green Day songs, I'm like, no, this should sound like it's like
this should sound
Smoke
shitty.
Back a day and like kind of off key and super fucked up. It shouldn't sound so pristine.
Dan, do you have any thoughts on my list?
It was one of those ones I'd listened to No Use for a Name a little bit, and a little bit of I know Operation Ivy. Did you go into them at all while I was?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about like them being like kind of like the progenitors of like skate punk and like that ska punk blend, and obviously it was like the origin of the majority of Rancid minus Lars Frederiksen.
Yeah. But it was also one of those, like they were also one of those bands that only put out one album. And
yeah, I mentioned they were kind of like a weird thing. They just like did that one album and then.
Did they go different ways, or did somebody pass away? I can't remember.
I think because the lead singer, which wasn't actually Tim Armstrong, he's still around. They all just kind of parted ways, and then Tim and Matt Freeman, the bassist, formed Rancid.
But obviously, Rancid, super progenitors as well. Love the Green Day, and then No Use for a Name. I'd heard a few things, but I don't think I'd heard this particular song. So no, I was real happy with these.
Cool. All right, so now we're
I think Dave had something to say after that.
I have a real answer. I gave a jokey answer.
Oh yeah,
earlier.
I wasn't sure if you were serious or not. So
No, I was.
You were. It was. My feelings were a little hurt.
Well, welcome to my world. Again, this is weird because like listening to them and like you can argue they fall under the pop punk, but specifically to me, Rancid and Operation Ivy, to my ears, always leaned more towards just straight punk.
Straight punk, sure.
To me,
For sure.
To me personally,
They're definitely cheats for me. They're my two biggest cheats on this list, probably.
So seeing them on this, I was like, oh. So, but again, that it's been the debate of the night, right? Like how can you really quantify and define pop punk? And ultimately, there's like everyone's preference, what the media says, and what have you. But I think ultimately it's personal preference. So that being said, like yeah, like as long as it has that punk element and I can sing along to it, I was like, yeah, great. Yeah, No Use for a Name. Never heard of that band before. Really like Soulmates a lot. So that was like one of those standouts. Like
Yeah, they have
along
a
with
good
like
discography. I would recommend checking out their stuff.
yeah,
It's good.
for sure. Like out of everything that's been exposed so far on our list, like Say Anything was like a big standout to me because I was like, wow, I really like this song. Then Soulmate was like, oh, I really like this song too. So that's my real answer, not my
Great.
jokey.
I like it. I love it.
Pretending that I don't care answer. Oh boy, is it my turn?
Now let's
You're
move
so
into
cool,
yours.
Dave.
We could all give you a joke
All right, so
Your
first
entire
on my
playlist is a joke. Just kidding.
first is Farewell Mona Lisa by Dillinger Escape Plan, and then
I almost spit whiskey on my computer. Why would you do that?
Rum is for
All right.
drinking, not for burning. My
My
senses
senses
fail.
fail, sure.
yeah, no,
What
I
it is
have
to burn by Finch.
I I'm not okay. I promise, but my
Wait,
Chemical
hold on. I
Romance.
promised the chat there was no my chem.
You did. You
bad.
lied. I
You
knew
lied.
that was my
You
I knew
lied.
there was my Ken.
You
I love this song.
lied.
It's okay.
You straight up lied.
Hey, Sean, were you born in July? Because you
I-
Julier.
I was. I am a Julier.
Wow.
Julier. All right. Next up, I have the cherry. I'm just kidding. All right. Next up, I have Little Lion Man by Tonight Alive.
I love that you put a Pop Goes Punk song on here. By the way,
I have Anthem of Our Dying Day by Story of the Year and The Middle by Jimmy Eat World.
all right, I'm gonna blast your list whenever you're ready for me to blast your list.
Yeah,
Oh, just go
I have
for
a
it.
teammate now.
All right.
Just go for
All right.
it.
So first, before I get too far into it, Jimmy Eat World is
Chef's
top
kiss. Chef's
5,
kiss.
if not top 2 favorite bands for me. Right? One of the greatest shows I've ever been to is Jimmy Eat
Yep.
World.
And they're definitely pop.
However, no.
This.
This song is for sure.
This song is.
Yes.
But if I'm
That's
gonna
all we're picking.
pick-
We're picking songs.
If I'm gonna pick a pop punk song from Jimmy Eat World,
You do Sweetness?
it'll be Sweetness,
Sweetness.
or Pain.
Oh,
Yeah.
Pain's good
See,
too.
that's what sucks is I was like honestly originally on my list I was gonna choose the Sweetness originally.
I had Sweetness
would-
on my list,
I
and then you
will-
put the middle on. I'm like,
but
oh.
then I was thinking about again what quantifies for me as pop punk, and I was like, what's the poppiest song, the most
Yeah, I
popular
still think
song?
it's pretty. I think
Wait, wait,
wait,
hold on.
Pretty
Dave,
poppy.
did-
That, like,
Dave, did you even talk about these, or did we just immediately?
no, you
start
guys
shit?
started jumping on
No,
them.
I just came in.
No,
fast.
you guys immediately hopped on my dick and
Yeah, we're
just
just keeping it. Yeah. Now, Story of the Year. Story of the Year is a weird one for me because it's pop punk, but does it
Is
feel
it-
like pop punk?
discuss, guys. That's what I'm here for. Just to
I'm
throw a
with-
wrench in your parade.
No, I'm with Sean on this one. Much like Bayside, I do not consider Story of the Year pop punk.
Oh, I mean, I agree with Bayside though.
I see. Story of the
Let me be
Year.
clear.
And that's the thing is like if you're going to scream or have beyond heavy guitars in a pop punk song, you have to use it sparingly, appropriately. And Story of the Year is way too heavy. They're too close to post hardcore. They're too close to screamo for me to put them on there. But that's where David. That's where, as far as my thoughts about what you picked, that's where my poo-pooing ends. If you're going to pick a poppy My Chem song, this is going to be it for me. This is going to be the poppiest thing I think in their discography. So I'm okay with that one. Only my little, and that I will actually butt up against Sean. I love the pick of the middle. The middle to me is you could call it a straight up rock song, but like when it came out and the album it came out on, I think would qualify as pop punk. I think I remember the third concert I ever saw was the Pop Disaster Tour.
Yep, I was getting ready to talk about that.
Blink and Green Day were headlining, and the tour dates, half of them were Saves the Day and half of them were Jimmy Eat World. And I was really hoping I would see Jimmy Eat World, and I had Saves the Day, and it made me a little sad. But the only other thing I want to say, I'm just a little sad, and I think you may know where I'm going with this, Dave, is Tonight Alive is so good as a band, and I'm just sad that we don't have an original song by them on here because
that's the thing too, because it's like
okay.
it's like not unless you're in like that Vans Warped Tour culture, no one really knows about that band, surprisingly.
I was sure, but they
So
were
I wanted to choose like a digestible like.
You ready for my hot take? They're like Paramore, but better.
I mean, I would agree, but Paramore's not even Paramore anymore either. They've changed completely the last
Sure.
2 to 3 albums. True, so. But I wanted to choose something that's like a little digestible, and it's
Sure,
like
no,
it's
I
like
totally get that.
and it's also one of the first things I heard off of them, where I was like, "Who the fuck is this? They're amazing!" And then
God,
obviously,
did you go- Yeah, do you have What Are You So Scared Of? Is that the
Yeah.
album you have? Oh, it's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Who wants to blast? Who wants to blast David B for my count?
I'm
Yeah,
done.
who's
I'm done.
who,
No,
who's
I'm not gonna
next on
blast
I
you.
don't have
my
anything to
list?
blast.
Chem.
Go, James.
Sean.
I'll
Why don't
tell
you do
you.
it?
And honestly, look, and to kind of like shoot back a little bit on Dan, I could understand his gripes against Story of the Year. That being said, that particular song, there's only screaming at like the very very end. The whole
Yeah.
Sure.
intro of it is like very soft guitars.
Yeah.
It's in drop D, which a lot of pop punk bands do. So it's not that particularly heavy sonically
I haven't
speaking.
heard the term drop D in
There you go, boy.
48
in
hours?
7 years.
Nice, James.
But it's like, and it has that same chord progression all the time. Like they vary it up with like rhythmic variations. But like again, thinking about pop punk elements specifically, 4 chords over and over again. That band does that to that. Now, if we talk about the rest of the discography, then yeah, they definitely lean away from the punk element and get more into like screamo hardcore. But this particular album was leaned a little bit more on the pop punk to me personally. They're like the album that kind of made them big. Again, The Middle, I chose that because it's the most popular song, pop punk. If it was up to me, I probably would. It was honestly between The Sweetness or Bleed America because those are my favorite songs.
It's
so good.
Yeah.
However, I would have thrown that under the bus as well because Bleed American is borderline.
Anyway, go ahead. James, you got anything to say?
And then
Who's
I'm
it,
not
me or Tim?
I'm not okay. I know
David
it's like
finished,
it's like the beginnings of emo for a lot of people, but like it's punk, dude, with a solo in it. Like you can't tell me it's not punk.
Okay.
Yeah, I think these are all fantastic picks. I
Yes.
mean, I enjoyed the Little Lion Man cover. I mean, I love Mumford, so I think obviously their version's superior. But I enjoyed what they did with like the guitar in place of like the ukuleles and the banjos or whatever. So I did enjoy that. The Middle, I mean, Jimmy Eat World's one of my favorite bands as well. They're Arizona boys. How can I not? That album specifically is one of my favorite albums of all time. And then My Chem, like I'm more familiar with like with earlier My Chem. I know this song. Again, they were part of that like transition period. I do really like them. I just am not as exposed to them as I probably should. Like do a deep dive. But overall, I liked everything here. I think it's a little more pop punky, closer to pop punk than your previous 4. But overall, I'm not saying that in a bad way because like look at
Thank
mine.
you,
I am.
Tim.
I'm not saying that
That's
in a
the-
bad way because look at
Tim.
mine is the same way. So
Tim,
like,
Our
that's the
goal is to
nicest.
make it
That's
good.
Tim, that's the nicest thing anyone has said to me all fucking night. So thank you, sir.
James, bring us home into the final round.
Yeah, it's at least 50% more hard or more pop punk than the last 4. And
Yes.
I completely agree. I am of the opinion that My Chemical Romance with that song deserves to be on this list.
Oh yeah.
That is definitely a pop punk song, and they crush it with that. And yeah, absolutely, The Middle deserves to be on here. It was also on my short list, along with I'm Not Okay. Both of those were, but The Middle is definitely their poppiest, I think, of all their hits. The Sweetness would be probably my favorite, or Pain. I forgot about Pain. I haven't heard that song in so long.
Futures is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah, so I got to listen to that song again. But The Sweetness is such a great song too. And I did go to that Pop Disaster tour and was lucky enough to get Jimmy Eat World as my opener.
Lucky.
But they were hammered.
Oh.
Hammered. It was terrible.
Which
They
is
got
interesting
booed.
because they are,
Yeah.
which is super interesting because from what I've seen of them, they're like consummate professionals and they're exceptionally good live.
I met Jim Adkins a while back, and he's such a gentleman, such a sweetheart.
Yeah,
Smoking
maybe
That
they
was-
had
it
an
might have been
offside.
an
Maybe-
outlier, yeah.
Maybe they weren't hammered. Maybe they was just really bad. But
The
they were getting booed. It was
Before-
not good. I
just gonna say
was
before
wondering when you went, who was your headliner?
Blink.
Yeah,
And I
Blink was the
sad
headliner
about
here
it.
too.
I was sad about it because Green Day was so much better live than Blink. Blink is awful live.
yeah, Blink is not good live.
They were great live that night. I don't know what you did, but when I saw them, Travis did an elevated guitar
Mhm.
and Spun did
drum
did the
solo,
360s. Yeah, so yeah, they killed that show. But
Before-
but Green Day absolutely destroyed them, and
Green
I
Day.
think
So
we'll talk about that later because I think they're gonna come up again.
The only other thing I want to throw out there is there's one other Jimmy Eat World song that I would say is even more pop punk than the rest of them, and it's off of Chase This Light, and it was Electable. I think that may be their most pop punk song because
I
it
don't
even
think I
has
know
that.
that
It even has like that "Give It Up" in the chorus, like oh 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 oh. No, well then I'm the only one.
Yeah, I don't know that song. I'm gonna have to hear that.
I don't know Clarity as well as I know a lot.
No,
of
this wasn't Clarity. This was later. This was off of Chase This Light.
Oh well, even
What was the
then,
song?
I especially don't know Chase This Light.
It's called Electable, and then in parentheses, "Give It Up."
Got it.
I think it's time for James to unveil his final two picks.
We're going final two.
Okay. Final stretch, everyone.
Bring us home, James.
All right. Well, speaking of the Pop Disaster Tour, so my next pick is Blink-182 with "Damn It." There's a lot of other Blink-182 songs that people are going to consider more of their popular hits, but "Damn It" I think is the one that really kind of put them on the map. It's also the song that I love more than any other. Yeah, I mean, that guitar part is just so good. It's just
Copyright
so good.
strike.
It was under 10
Are we
seconds.
still live? Are we still live?
You
For
say
now.
that Dave has not been paying attention this whole time.
No, because that's the loudest
sorry about your
he's
channel,
played
PJ.
song. Yeah, that's the loudest he's played a song.
Damn It came off of Dude Ranch, which was more of the punk Blink-182 before they hit it really big with Enema and with the Mark Tom and Travis show and Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, where it became more poppy. So this is more of their punky edge to them, but I love that about it. I love everything about this guitar part. I like that it's a Mark song. As we talked earlier, you have Tom's voice. It's really nasally, and when Mark gets to sing and he gets to shine, I always like those songs a little bit better sometimes. So it's nice to get a really good Mark song. Damn It's just always my go-to. That's my Blink-182 song. And then my top pick, it's what introduced me to pop punk music. It's what introduced me to really mainstream music at the time, because as a kid growing up, I would always drive around with my mom and we would listen to oldies music, and not saying that in a bad way, because I loved it. I loved listening to the Beach Boys and the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and all these people. But 1994 hit, Green Day comes out with Dookie and Basket Case, and that song and that album defined my adolescence. When Dookie first hit 94, that music video is batshit crazy. I am 11 years old, and the first time I see it, my older stepbrother introduced me to it, and he was like, "Watch this band," and I thought it was so bad. I was like, "Oh man, it's so weird." And MTV back in the day used to play music videos. There was actually music on the station, so we would watch MTV every day over the summer, and this song got played 3, 4, 5 times a day. So a month in, I loved it, and it became my favorite band.
That's a really deep cut, Jim. I appreciate you for
It's
this.
a really
comment.
good, yes, absolutely.
Super deep cut.
When I watched MTV, it was Scars by Papa Roach.
I just threw up in my mouth a lot.
It was just actual TV shows.
Turn them all
right. But dude,
So myself should.
To be fair, a lot of songs from this list were also on at that time, so it's okay. But
sure.
So yeah, by the end of the summer of '94, man, Green Day was my favorite band. I had to buy their album. I remember playing Dookie from beginning to end every afternoon when I was doing my homework. I would just sit there, start it, and just listen all the way through, including the secret song at the end. After you waited 7 minutes on the CD. And then Blink was my next favorite band. That was the one in the middle of high school, end of high school, Blink came around and Dookie. And Dude Ranch and Enema hit. So those are my two big ones. It's that defines pop punk for me in two different stages of my life.
I don't think I'm going to pull this back to Mike K's earlier question. If you want to know who Mike K was asking about our pop punk top 4, our pop punk Rushmore.
Yeah.
For me, it's James's top 4 is my pop punk Rushmore.
Yep.
There's
Blink,
a perfectly
Fall Out Boy, Newfound Glory. That's my pop punk Rushmore. So
that's mine too.
I don't think anyone has anything else to say about these songs, right? Tim.
They're incredible. Blink, like I said, is my second favorite pop punk band. You'll see who my first is on my list. But this song is incredible. The guitar is iconic. And then Basket Case is iconic. I put down in my notes on this song that it's probably possibly the first punk song I ever heard in my life. So I got to credit Basket Case with my love for just the overall genre of punk rock.
I really think Basket Case could be the genesis of pop punk to begin with. They were the first one that really broke through, and everybody kind of rode Green Day's coattails off of this one song and this one album.
Yeah. Anyone else have anything to say? Dan,
No,
David B.
I would just say for those two bands, for when they came out, I think if I remember, Dookie was 95 and Dude Ranch was 98, I want to say. And the genre kind of grew out of those two. I remember very vividly because I think at that point Green Day was already onto their second or third album because that was right around the time Nimrod came out, and that was a little bit before Enema. So once they started gaining steam, everything took off from there.
Well,
Dookie was definitely 94. I'm
Dookie was 94
positive of
for
that.
sure.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Super
Dude
Hits
Ranch was
came out.
97, I think.
Yeah, I think
I think
97 and then
Super Hits came out in
99 for
01.
Enema.
Yeah, 99. for
Okay.
Enema.
And then as far as what Sean said, as far as the Mount Rushmore, the only one I may pull Fall Out Boy off only because they left pop punk so quickly. They
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I'm
Like-
having a hard time figuring out who I'd throw in
and
that
that's
fourth
and
spot,
in the
so.
chat I said earlier, the only other one that I would think if you go back to Progenitor, I threw Ramones on there because you
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have pop punk as it is
Yeah.
today
And
without
the Ramones were originally on my list, but then I took them off. But
that was the joke I was going to make once your whole list was revealed. I'm like, I'm really shocked Tim didn't put any Ramones on here.
yeah, I did have real quick. I did have Sheena as a punk rocker on my list because I fucking love that song.
Or we should
I
just
love
say,
the Ramones in general. So
I'm just going to say we should say Blitzkrieg Bop. None of us would be
Blitzkrieg
sitting
Bop
here
is
like
without
their-
that song.
it's like their
Yeah,
iconic song for
period.
sure.
And that I think is
I Wanna Be
the
Sedated.
foundation.
Yeah.
That's the foundation of pop punk.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. It was literally them being like, we want to create a song that's catchy that you can play with 3 or 4 chords, and that everyone will
I
be.
mean, I
able to
had
pick
some
the guitar
even
and go.
earlier songs on my list I could go back. I had some Elvis Costello on there. So
Oh wow!
Yeah.
that's a whole different conversation.
But yeah, definitely. I didn't even consider the Ramones because I'm like, no, they're definitely a punk band. But when you consider pop punk as like a punk song that breaks through to the mainstream, absolutely, with I Want to Be Sedated or their other songs.
and
Blitzkrieg
so
Bop
much of the Ramones
and-
catalog is very just like poppy and like friendly and like not super serious and like not really hard. Yeah, it's very like in that vein.
Yeah, I didn't even consider them, and that's a mistake. Yeah, we should have some Ramones on here.
David B.
I mean, yeah. I mean, definitely Mount Rushmore, Green Day, and Blink-182 are on there.
They're a lot.
For sure, I would put Newfound Glory as third. I'm having a hard time figuring out who. would
I'm
be
having
My
a hard
fourth
time
is
with
tough
4.
too.
You and
fourth
you
is
and me,
tough.
Dave. Those are
So,
the 3.
Shut up, Dan.
And then Story of the Year is number 4, right?
I'm sorry, Dan. That was
Story of
just
the year.
that was just a funny
No,
thing to say.
no,
No,
Story
a
of
day
the
to
Year.
remember. What the
Day to
hell?
remember.
Shut up.
I mean,
Yeah.
I
No,
might
it's Nirvana. Nirvana's number 4, guys.
I might put the Descendants in my 4th spot just because they were so they were around the early '80s and they were also very very instrumental. So I think that might be my 4th pick. But
Gotcha.
I mean, I could probably say Basket Case was probably like the first real like what I considered punk song that I've ever
Yeah.
listened to. And as far as Blink-182, like Damn It's pretty good. I probably wouldn't put that as my favorite Blink-182 song. It'd probably be What's My Age
Not a bad
Again?
call, Coach.
What's My Age Again was my second
What's
choice.
My Age
yeah.
Again's great.
Yeah,
That's a good
I
one.
think that song because it was like that chorus especially pop punk, but that opening like clean guitar intro is like borderline jazzy almost, just like do 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 do. It's like
Yeah.
really groovy. So, but I mean, solid choices, man.
This is the
Thanks,
question
Joe.
for you though, Dave. Dave, real quick, was the first song you ever learned on guitar? Was it "Damn It"?
No,
No, I was gonna say it might have been mine.
First song I learned on the bass guitar was not any of these songs. So the first song I learned on the
the
guitar,
first song I learned on bass guitar was "Boris the Spider" by the Who.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mine
Not
was
My
Killing in
Generation.
the Name of.
Killing the Name of that's good.
Good one.
All right. So
See, I thought you were gonna go "Come as You Are."
No, not.
no. My first song was Nirvana "Smells Like Teen Spirit," which spoiler
Yeah.
alert, that's my number one. Oh,
I think the
So,
first
my
one
number
I
one's
always learned.
Lithium.
I also learned "Damn It" and I learned "Stay Together for the Kids" because that has like a really good
Ooh,
acoustic part there at
yeah.
the beginning.
All right. So my top 2, "December Again" by Neck Deep. So "December" is a song that Neck Deep released 3 versions of. They released their album version, and then they released one with Chris Carrabba, I think. Who's Dashboard?
Yeah, Chris Carrabba.
Yeah,
you're
Chris
right.
Carrabba.
Chris Carrabba.
Yep.
So they released their album version, then they released an acoustic version with Chris Carrabba, and they released an electric version, December Again, with Mark Hoppus. Neck Deep, if you've never heard them, they are just fucking great. yeah, they lean a little bit easy core or post-hardcore sometimes, but they're wonderful. They, to me, are the spirit of pop punk. And then my number one is, I can't click there. I gotta click here. Perfect Score by State Champs. So, someone earlier, and I forget who, mentioned Elevated by State Champs. Elevated, Perfect Score, Secrets. For me, they're all in this top spot.
If I didn't, I meant to mention it.
Yeah, I mean, State Champs is just fucking so good. They're probably my favorite band that's still kicking around right now. I don't know, man. They really capture that pop punk thing just so well. But I wanted to make sure my top two were more modern as far as pop punk goes.
I was going to say, in that same breath, I feel like between the two of us, we're also missing the story so far, because I feel like in the same breath, they very much would have fit right there with Neck Deep and State Champs.
And they're not. And I spoiler alert for the chat.
They're not
Story
so
far is not on the list.
But you'll know why when you get to mine, and you just heard why when we got to Sean's.
So
being that these songs.
Go ahead.
Sorry, no, you finish.
Oh, I was gonna say, who wants to talk?
Oh, so being that these songs came out in 2015, I believe each one. I am not familiar with like newer pop punk, and I really like them. They're great songs. I would definitely explore their discographies further. I think they are not in a bad way. Like, I don't say this in a bad way, but they're like by the numbers, like pop punk songs. Like this is what you expect out of pop punk song, either one. And I do appreciate that Neck Deep. I was reading about them. They're a Welsh band, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
from
awesome.
Wales.
They're a Welsh band, and I met their. I got the chance. So I learned about and saw State Champs and Neck Deep at my last time I was at Warped Tour, which was 2015 in Mesa, Arizona. I was managing a band who was on the Warped Tour lineup for the West Coast states, and they were in Mesa.
Fancy.
And I got to meet their guitar player, I think. I forget who's who in that band. But he was ducked out head to toe in Mighty Ducks. Like Mighty Ducks shorts, Mighty Ducks shoes, a Mighty Ducks hat, and a Mighty Ducks jersey. The dude lives in fucking Southern California, and he's Welsh. And he just goes to every Ducks game possible.
That's awesome.
So yeah. They were great guys. Loved them. Both bands, I think, are totally worth picking. A note on Neck Deep. They have a song called Kali Ma, which was going to be my number one.
I already love the reference. If it's a reference to what I'm thinking,
it is.
For sure.
It is.
I think you may have played that for us on a hangout
so
one
too.
time.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's great.
David B. James.
I loved it. I loved it. Legitimately, like modern pop punk is like the theme of yours, Sean. And I honestly think like if you're choosing like quintessential modern pop punk, definitely State Champs. And I've never heard of Neck Deep, but I would totally agree. Like that's definitely like that modern version of like, I guess what would be considered pop punk nowadays. So yeah, nothing bad to say about it.
I think it's interesting. It's to piggyback on that, but it's also like shows like kind of like it's like a circle. Like even though it's modern, it's come back to like kind of like what it sounded like in its like heyday. I would say not in its roots, but in its like heyday in like the 90s and like the up into like the early 2000s for sure.
Just like love, it's a circle.
Circle, man.
It's a circle with two lumps and a point.
I loved both of these songs. I didn't know Neck Deep either, so hearing that song was great. And as I said earlier, I love Mark Hoppus, so it's nice to hear him collaborate on a song. One that we're not going to have on the list, I don't think, that I really like as a Mark Hoppus background vocal, a little guest vocal, is Simple Plan's "I'd Do Anything." I really like that song. That would have been my Simple Plan song if I snuck one on here. It was close.
All Time Low. Is it Bail Me Out?
That is Mark on it. Ooh,
that might be. I know he's on a Motion City song too.
Yeah,
he produced. He produced "Commit This to Memory," the album that the one I picked from Motion City's on.
Yeah. All Time Low, Tidal Waves.
Tidal Waves.
And I think the guy from A Day to Remember did Neck Deep's album that December's off of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, which December? Because there were like 8 of them.
The original December, not
okay.
Yeah, I like Neck Deep. I'm
December
going to have to check them out.
Cool.
Maxwell, what do you got?
Yeah, let's see what Maxwell has. That is number 2 and 1. But let's go with My Own Worst Enemy by
Love it.
Lit,
Nice.
Obviously.
and we got Misery Business from Paramore. So
Yes.
who wants to kick things off here?
All right, I'll do my own worst enemy. I mean, this is again like I've said this a whole
Quintessential.
bunch. Quintessential pop punk. They own a bar in my hometown called
Can we
the Slide
go?
Bar.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I want to go. Can we
they own a
we
bar-
like dress like they did in the video?
Sure, let's do it.
Oh my god, I'm so in.
Yeah, they own a.
Can I
they
fly
own
to California yet?
They own a bar called, or I should say, one of the guys owns a bar. I don't know actually who owns it. One of them owns a bar in Fullerton, California, called the Slide Bar, and it is it's a bar in front, and then it's a rock venue back.
Ooh.
And I've
It's like a mullet.
been with bands who played there, managing or booking, whatever. Love that place. It gets a little busy on the weekends, and the music they play during normal business hours is not anything close to their type of music. They went to my high school and Jill's high school,
Nice.
which is super cool. Love this song.
Yeah, I guess I can say I mean Paramore. They're a great band. I honestly don't know a lot of their discography, but I do know this song, and the song is very good. My Own Worst Enemy, Lit. Lit was originally on my top 10 as well. Not this song because I figured this song would be on someone's. I had Miserable on my list.
Oh, I thought you were gonna put on Ziploc, and I was gonna be like,
Ziploc
oh,
is also.
fucking
I
Ziploc.
also like Ziploc was close. I love Ziploc a lot as well. Yeah, I mean, Lit's a great band. They were like, I don't know if they did much post like this album. Really, I don't know.
I will pick that up as you're putting it
I
down.
can't remember. I mean, maybe I'm sure there's something, but
I saw
this album. Like, I really love this album. There's several songs in here.
Before we get too far away from there, because you can take it back in a second, Tim. But I saw Lit play on one of those tours. So there was a tour that came out like maybe 5 or 6 years ago that was like headlined by Sugar Ray and Everclear. And so the first time this tour came around, Lit was one of the opening bands, and it was like Marcy's Playground, Lit. I can't remember who the middle one was right now because I've been drinking, and then Sugar Ray and Everclear. And I tell you, Lit was the best one there, hands down. It was Lit and then Sugar Ray. Those were the two best live bands.
Wow.
Like Lit played the show like they were a goddamn 80s hair metal band. They finished the show with like the two guitars playing, and then the lead singer came up and like stood on top of them like they were a goddamn rock and roll cheerleading pyramid. No, I'm not even joking.
Well,
it was awesome.
They put off
It
like
was
a
so much
rockabilly
fun.
vibe, like, and I feel like they could. Like,
They really do.
And rockabilly bands are like some of the funnest bands to see live. I don't know if anyone's ever watched
And
them.
they
but-
had you can probably find it on Spotify. They had an album come out around the same time they did this tour called View from the Bottom, and it's a very similar vibe to the album that had My Own Worst Enemy on it. I would definitely say give it a listen because it's a lot of fun. Anyway, I'm sorry, Tim. What was,
I was done. So if anyone, James or David,
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, my Own Worst Enemy is definitely one of my favorite songs. Especially like favorite songs on this list. It's infinitely catchable. It's one of those earworms. Once you hear it, it's stuck in your head for weeks. So yeah, I love that pick. And the other one I wasn't that familiar with. No, I'm just playing. I know Misery Business really well. It's a really good song. We heard it earlier. Not as good of a version. This is definitely the quintessential Misery Business for me. One thing
Misery Business by Sea of Treachery is my favorite version. Go check that out. It's not pop punk.
One thing I wanted to talk about with Green Day earlier, I forgot to, is during that Pop Disaster tour. So, like I said, Blink headlined, but Green Day opened for them, and I saw them in Orlando. So what Billy Joe did was he started playing a song, and he was like, "All right, so who can play guitar?"
Yep.
And everybody like raises their hands.
They did this at
so
mine too. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So they're like, "No, who can really fucking play guitar?" So he picks somebody out in the crowd, and he picks a bass player out, and picks a drummer out, comes up, and they teaches them.
All three of them.
Yep, teaches them
Chris,
how to
what are
play
you
the
doing?
song.
Chris Clark, why we
Chris
have
knocking
calculator?
off 2 plus 2.
Guys,
I'm so sorry.
hold on, time out. I don't know if you know, but we here at the Bajuckin are a very professional group of individuals. None of us are currently drinking live on stream. And the voice of God is not doing other things on his other monitor.
This is the
Fucking
most-
Chris
This is
Clark.
brought to you by the Bajuckin.
Empty.
Guys, I'm out of whiskey.
All right.
Chris Clark doing his fucking taxes while I'm trying to talk about Green Day. So yeah,
That's very punk.
No. To finish the quick story. So yeah, Billy Joe brought everybody up on stage, taught them how to play the lick, and they played the song for them while Green Day sang. And then at the end, gave him the guitar as he walked off stage.
Same.
Dude,
So
just
good.
badass.
So cool.
Yeah,
So cool.
no, they were killer. And Max's list is killer also.
Would you
Next.
say all killer, no filler?
I'll kill her.
I like that. I
Dan,
understand that
let's
reference.
hear your top
Yeah,
two.
let's go, Dan.
Wait, hold on. David B.
No one cares. Let's hear your top.
I
two.
care.
Oh, sorry, David. We missed you. Sorry, buddy.
David B, you're the only real musician here.
That's true.
That's
I've
arguable.
been a fake musician, and Sean has managed real musicians.
But I know what
so-
David's gonna say. He's gonna say, "I like it. It's great." That's it.
Dan.
I actually.
Well.
Yeah, all right. Look, legitimately.
Can I just point out that Chris Clark has already added this to the Spotify playlist?
No.
Chris, no, Chris.
Oh, sorry.
Chris.
Chris, it has to be there. That is the rules.
Does it?
No.
Yeah.
They
no.
make rules.
I think Danny was the one that picked that song. No, you can pick
No.
3 other songs.
Marcus picked that.
Oh, Marcus, come on.
Danny gets
Danny
to pick
didn't
a couple
pick one yet.
songs.
Yeah.
Danny's gonna get to pick a couple songs.
I was gonna say.
Marcus,
I mean-
let us take that off, and you can pick 3 other songs if they
Marcus
fit the
is listening to
genre.
pop punk.
I was gonna say, Tim. I actually. All right, I'll start with this. My Own Worst Enemy, quintessential pop punk for sure. I agree with it. What everyone said about that. Misery Business, I have mixed feelings about, mostly because of what Haley has said about the song herself and how they pretty much, I don't know if they changed their stance, but they pretty much said they won't play that song live anymore
Yeah,
because
Why
of the
not?
heard
What did
message
they say
behind
about that song?
Because it's a little too personal, I think she said.
Yeah, and it's like
Fuck over it. It's a great song.
so yeah. I mean, yeah, I would be hard pressed to find anything more leaning towards pop punk because like my personal favorite song is Ignorance by them, but then that's like a slightly heavier song in terms of like guitar and rhythmic
for
elements.
Pessimist, you're pretty optimistic.
That's a good song.
That's a good song for
I
sure.
was going to say, but David, finish your thought, and I want to build on what you were saying.
In terms of
Oh, do you have more to
Ignorance is
say?
my favorite song. I
No,
mean,
no. As far as like them not wanting to play.
No, it's because of the message of the song. It wasn't just mostly because it was personal. It was mostly because like, you know, Haley calls the other woman that WH word. So
Oh.
she's like saying like she
Whore.
doesn't want
She
to.
calls her a whore.
Whoa,
Yeah,
Sean!
Quoting
Oh, my
the
pearls!
song.
Ladies
My
and gentlemen,
pearls.
we here at Pajukan are very professional.
John,
But,
why don't you go back to your
Wait, hold on.
Whore
Let me-
Island?
let's
Speaking-
do this. Go ahead, David B. I can't do it. Damn it. I'm too slow. Anyway, but what you were gonna say about that is like a lot of bands did that. Like I know listening and by the side of this, like Chris Carrabba said the same thing about Dashboard. He said the same thing about Screaming Infidelities, where it's like he wrote this very emotional song about a breakup and he's having to sing it over and over. And I know
Yeah.
Finch went on record saying they never wanted to play Letters to You before they broke up the first time. And like it's a similar thing to where it's like a blessing and a curse when it's like a song that nobody thought would ever become popular just became the
Is their
biggest
most
thing that they
popular
ever
song,
did.
yeah.
Yeah. And
And,
so
and on top of that, like the message is relatable to some extent. That's why it's like take away the fact that it's a great catchy song. I'm not saying it's not a great
Super
song,
relatable.
but it's super relatable, and that's usually what like catapults a lot of these songs up to like.
I also think it's the spiritual successor to Skater Boy.
ooh,
Yeah.
I could see that.
I can see that.
Message
I
and
will-
message and all.
I will say this is I saw there was a tour right like the moment Paramore was exploding onto the scene, like when Riot came out and this was becoming like the #1 song ever. They were supposed to open for the Starting Line's first headlining tour, and I think at the very last minute they made it co-headlining, and technically the Starting Line opened for every date. And I remember Kenny, the lead singer of the Starting Line, being very, very, very academic about it or diplomatic about it, and coming out and being like, "Listen, there's no band that works harder. There's no band that we want to see succeed more." And like, because I remember I don't remember whether I was actually bitter about it, but I remember being really close because I liked Paramore at that time too. But I remember being like close to that hipster, like, I don't want to see them because they didn't put the time in. I remember being very close to that. But then he's like, no, they've done a lot of work. Give them this. They deserve their time. And like, it was a fantastic show that like,
Oh yeah,
the
and
two
I've seen I've seen Paramore like 3 times live, and they're amazing live band. Haley she's got pipes for days.
Oh, for sure.
So, it's just like, again, like, all right, whatever. I'm a musician, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I always lean towards respecting the artist's views. You know what I mean? So if like the band collectively is like, we get you love the song, it lives for you, but we no longer want to sing it. That, for better or for worse, it's like that whole argument, and I don't want to get too deep into it, the whole separating the art from the artist and blah, 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 blah. So that to me is just like, it's just personal preference, like respecting the artist's view of like what they want to do with their art, if that makes sense. Not to say that I don't love the song. Like, I love the song. It's like top 5 Paramore songs for sure. But like, and I'm not trying to poo-poo over Max's list. I think his list is amazing, and Max is amazing. He's the greatest Pajukin out of all the Pajukins. So I said it.
Oh, how could you?
Don't worry, hey, Dan. Don't worry. Sean is a close second. So.
Fair.
He's not here. You don't need to say that.
I deserve that.
Yeah,
More reason to say it, because now he doesn't have to hear it. And I don't have to feed that.
Yeah, he doesn't need that big head.
No, he's already got one.
That's
exactly.
Your final 2.
All right. So before I can click on these whenever I want to. I want to preface with this. So this list, I tried to cast a very wide net, and this list was for myself, a very personal list. So around the time, I think you can see my cursor, around the time we're talking the Swellers and even a little bit 4 Year Strong, it's one of those genres I'm feeling like I'm growing out of. Like, I'm feeling like a lot of the themes and whatnot, like pop punk, just, it's not necessarily resonating with me. And then I come across this little band called The Wonder Years. And when I first started listening to The Wonder Years, it was like a fucking lightning bolt revelation, where it's like they're playing very similar sounding music to everything else that I've heard out for. And there's a reason that this is over my shoulder to this day right now, is like they started actually singing about, oh, well, thank you.
No one can see it on the tiny cam.
They started singing about things that mattered. And it's like, when the first album that came out that I really listened to was called The Upsides, and it's about a guy struggling with depression, and it's like the ultimate song in that album is like he's singing about all my friends are in bar bands, like everyone else had these dreams and they couldn't do it and they couldn't come through it. And this is the song that starts the following album, which the album is called Suburbia. I've given you all and now I'm nothing. And this song is all about like, you know, no matter what we do, this is where we came from, and we're really going to give it our all with everything that we can do. And like, just watching their progression as a band, it's breathtaking to me, and it's very, very personal, and it still somehow is catchy, poppy. You want to dance, you want to sing along to it, you want to mosh. Like The Wonder Years, I think I own more of their clothes than any other band, and that's saying something, because I've owned a lot of band merch over my years, and that's why I went out of my way to buy a very not cheap like wall hang that says Came Out Swinging pendant. Yeah, I think it's a pennant. And then the very last one kind of goes even further than that, to where it's like, if The Wonder Years showed me that it's okay to really like explore those things about you, that like we're all humans, and go, this Real Friends is another one of those pop punk bands that they're going on to that next level. And this may not even be their most popular song, but like right in front of me, there's a big flag that I found at their show. And it's this chorus says, last year I was a train wreck, now I'm just a mess. And that chorus ends with saying, I'm starting to be where I need to be. And just like the whole thing, where pop punk started for me personally was, it's at a place where it's like, you're young, you want to do all these different things, and then it's like you're growing and you're maturing into an adult, but it's like you can't keep singing about breakups, and you can't keep singing about the same things for 20 to 30 years. And like, I still listen to some of those bands, but I'm not identifying with it as much, to where the Wonder Years are singing about different things, and Real Friends are singing about like mental health issues. And it's like they're showing it's still relatable. It's okay to feel all of these things. So I know it's a little heavy for a pop punk playlist, but like that's where my list started and ended. Like it really, both of those songs and bands just rejuvenated my feelings for this genre.
Well, look, I think that was the perfect note to end on. So No, look, I totally agree with you with these two picks. They're picks that needed to be there. People have mentioned the Wonder Years a few times in the chat there, and yeah, they were one that were on my list, and not because I'm a huge Wonder Years fan, but because they're that turn from pop punk into whatever it is today, and the other subgenres that exist. Real Friends are just fucking great. They're kind of the two, like, they're these real working class bands that not everyone knows, but they typify the genre.
Yes.
Spanish love songs. Mike K says we need to check out. We need to check out Spanish love songs.
Okay, I'm in. Let's do it.
Tim.
I wasn't familiar with either of these songs or either of these bands, but again, I don't know a lot of this later generation of like pop punk and what came from.
Damn kids.
Yeah, those damn kids. But I really enjoyed these songs. It's funny everything you were saying was kind of like my notes on it. Is they're very emotional, very real, like in depth like lyrics and songs. But yeah, I really enjoyed them. I think they're showing like pop punk becoming more adult. As it's like much of its audience was going through themselves. So.
Yeah. There were other ones that I was debating, and other ones from both of these bands where I'm like, there were other heavier songs, but I'm like, at the end of the day, I came to these two, and I'm like, they really sum up a lot of it. There's one, if we do a part 2 of this, that may wind up from the Wonder Years, where the bridge is like, I'm 26, all the people I graduated with all have kids, all have wives, all have people who care if they come home at night. Jesus Christ, did I fuck up? And that's like the bridge of the song, and you're like, how do you fit that into a pop punk song and still make it catchy, still make it a banger, and you still want to listen to it all the time?
Jay, and I have a song that's very similar to that is in like it's like kind of new country, alt country band that's really great. I'm going to send that to you after.
Okay.
And to a certain extent, like, I think we can really empathize with that message of like, we're getting older and what the fuck are we doing, right? Like,
yep.
We make YouTube content. Like, what the fuck are we doing? David B., let's make sure you get stocked before James, because I know you're just going to say, I like him.
Well, it's mine, so he's going to poop on it.
I hate him as
Fuck
much as
him
I
up,
hate
David.
Dan, so, yep. Dan, you suck, and so does your list. Moving on.
Thanks, buddy. Hot take.
I will go then. So a while back, I didn't know either of these bands. I still don't know Real Friends, but I like this song a lot. But I wasn't aware of the Wonder Years until I saw it pop up on Dan's Twitter like over and over and over again. So I looked into them, and I love the Wonder Years now. Yeah, they're so great. I wasn't really familiar with the song until you put it on the list, so I've just listened to it more. But I love it. It's definitely a band that I want to check out more and more from. And yeah, that's great. I like both those songs. Good job.
No, they're solid songs. I've known of the Wonder Years, but I never really listened to the Wonder Years, and it's a really, really great song.
I could have a solo podcast talking about that band. That's how much I love
Let's do it.
Yeah, do it for sure.
All right.
Real Friends is another one I've never heard of that band, never heard their music, and it was really good. It caught me by surprise for sure. And yeah, it's kind of hard. Like, what else can I say that it hasn't already been said by this amazing panelists, except for Dan. So
yeah, fuck that guy, right?
All right. I'm gonna unveil my 2.
All right,
so,
Tim.
These are definitely the 2 that fit the pop punk genre the most. So I have Mutt by Blink-182 from Enema of the State. Also,
I think you mean American Pie 1.
Also in American Pie 1. Yes,
Yeah, it is definitely.
And just like that, Blink-182 becomes the first band to have 3 songs on our list.
And then my number 1 is my favorite pop punk band. One of my most formative, one of the most formative bands
Thanks, Coach.
in my life, and that is MXPX, My Life Story.
Nice.
Representing my MXPX merch here. Yeah. But anyways, Blink-182, there's so many great songs. It's hard to choose. I picked this song because I was like, well, I don't think this is the song that would show up on anyone else's list necessarily for like a top 10. So I wanted to throw it in here. I think it's really just fun. It's not super serious. It's like angsty. It's horny. It's just really about, I mean, a friend of theirs that was a surfer, and he was just like, all he cared about was sex and wanted getting laid, and so it's kind of like what the song's about, and it fits appropriately in the scene that it's in American Pie as well. But yeah, I just think it's a great song. I love this whole album. I love Blink-182 in general. That early to mid Blink for sure.
Yeah.
And then MXPX. I mean, I don't think I could ever really pick a favorite MXPX song. The song I originally had on here, I took off because I feel like this one is just a little bit more like fits a little more mainstream than the one I had on here. This was kind of like the height of my like love for MXPX. This album came out in like 2001 or 2002, I believe. It's from the Ever Passing Moment. This is the opening track. I just think it's super, super great. MXPX is a cool band because like they've kind of have a resurgence right now. They did a Kickstarter for an album in 2018, and they needed to raise like $50,000 to do the album basically. And they ended up raising like $250,000. And it's like, well, yeah, because all your fans are like grown-ups now that have established careers and are able to just throw money at you. Me being one of them. And I've really enjoyed their resurgence. They did a whole thing during quarantine. Mike did a whole thing during quarantine where he like he did songs live in his house on YouTube, and then they took all those songs, mixed them, and now they're available on Spotify. I think there's an album coming out called Life in Quarantine, and it's basically just it's like so many of their hits essentially. They were like originally like established as like a Christian band because of their label, but they were never like overtly like religious in any of their songs. In fact, earlier, like they have an early song on Teenage Politics that's very like politically charged and kind of like kind of scathing on America. And then they also did a cover recently of NoFX's song Franco and American. They did a cover of that version, but it's actually a newer version because they update the song to modern politics. So it's talking about billionaires and stuff like that. And it's really great. And that song is also incredible. Yeah, listen to their version of Franco and American. It's incredible. But yeah, I mean, I've just really appreciated like them my entire life. They mean a lot. I've seen them a bajillion times. And they're not, I mean, yeah, they originally were like labeled as a Christian band, but they're definitely not anymore. Like Mike doesn't even identify as a Christian. He's an atheist now. I'm not saying that's, I mean, if you identify as Christian, that's fine. I'm just saying that I don't want people to like pigeonhole them as that type of band because they're
real quick. Did Mike start doing that stuff on his own, or did he start doing quarantine stuff after Goldfinger started doing their stuff?
Yeah, Goldfinger stuff's great too.
I think he did it before them because he actually did a cover of Superman while he was in quarantine. That is absolutely incredible. And he's also
part of it.
He's the bass. He's now the bass player for Goldfinger.
Well, I was going to say, like,
on top of being in NXPX, he's also.
I was going to say because
he's also the official bass player right now for Goldfinger.
Oh wow!
He was in their video that they did. Yeah,
he
did his own cover of Superman while he was in quarantine as well.
Okay. I gotta watch that.
That is incredible. It's super good.
He
had a whole like after NXPX kind of went down in popularity. He had a whole like thing where he did this like country rock band called Tumbledown, and that's really great too. And he was in a lot of side bands as well that were like. Also, like very like a little heavier pop punk, but yeah, I mean, I love NXPX. I love Mike Herrera. I'm NXPX Mark. It's
that song, James. That song almost made my list. Almost.
I was saying, speaking of which, Superman should probably be on this list.
I foresee us doing a ska list, so I click anything.
I think we should do a ska list.
You could have threw Less Than Jake on here, and I was like, well, Less Than Jake's going to go on a ska list. So so I can talk all day on NXPX and Blink-182. They're great, and So thoughts? Who wants to start?
Ooh, can I start for once?
Oh, start, David.
Yeah. I'll start with the good. How about that? My life story. Never really heard of MXPX either, believe it or not, and I really I really like that song. I really like the opening hook to the guitar.
I mean, they're legit like a big punk band. Like they've been around since '92. They've released like 10 or 12 studio albums. They're like
and somehow like it avoided it. I somehow avoided up to this whole time. So I really like that band. that band a lot, and I'm gonna do a deep dive on them.
You may have heard some stuff from Panic. Panic was probably their most like commercially successful album, but yeah. Anyways.
In terms of Mutt, here comes the bad part. And look, I like Blink-182. The first album I ever owned was Enema of the State, so that was like my introduction to Blink-182. But if I'm being completely honest, I find this song incredibly dull and almost like a filler compared to other stuff on that album. So for you to pick that song to me is actually quite shocking, considering all the other songs you could have chosen from that album.
Do you hear how nice and diplomatic Dave's trying to be?
Yeah, because I'm not you, Daniel Nye.
I'll tell you what my original pick for Blink was Man Overboard, which is even on it.
Oh, okay. No, it's on Mark, Tom, and Travis.
Man Overboard is probably my favorite Blink song, but I wanted to put Mud on here just because for that reason. Like I feel like it doesn't get enough like love, and I actually do enjoy it a lot. So
David, I want you to finish your thought because I cut you off, but then I want to rebut.
I mean, why should I bother now, Dan?
Because it's fun and we're having a lively musical.
No,
conversation.
but like legitimately speaking, it's like this is like one of the main issues I have with rock and roll in general. They take so fucking long sometimes to actually get into the structure of the song. And I feel like Mutt is one of those Blink songs that's like, all right, guys, like, let's get into it. Like, that intro is just like, it immediately turns me off, legitimately. And I have to sit there and be like, all right, listen to it first, like, get through it. But that intro is just like,
I love the intro.
Yeah, I love the intro.
I don't dig it. I'm sorry.
Dave.
So, I don't know. And it's just like, and then you have Travis Barker, who's like a great Dan did. And but then just everything, I'm sorry, it's whatever, but I just find the song dull. Like, to me, I'm just like, all right, even the fucking drum piece just
just a blast.
So okay, all right, here's the quick rebuttal. So the reason that drum beat is so simple, because if you listen to Dude Ranch is that's the drum beat for the entire album.
That's exactly what it is.
Travis Barker is a much more talented musician than the guy whose name was Scott
something,
who they had on the first album.
I think it was Scott Summers.
It wasn't Scott Summers.
Oh yeah, I mean Cyclops was totally the drummer. The reason why I will defend Mutt is because I feel like Mutt is the perfect blend from Enema to Dude Ranch. Is those two albums meet with this song, and there are better songs far and away. Even All the Small Things, which is not their best song on that album, like Aliens Exist is a great song, Anthem is a great song, Once My Age Again is a great song. Yeah, that album has so many bangers.
It's beginning to end. Yep.
Yeah, the reason Mutt worked so well is because it hit in the cultural zeitgeist for American Pie, and like it fit in that scene so much to where, for me, when I hear Mutt, I associate it just as much with the album as I do with the movie. So like that's why I like it as much. I agree with you. Everything you said, I 100% agree. Like, it is not a musically advanced song, but for a early Blink song, I enjoy it.
To be fair, and
Point of order.
Yeah.
Which Jimmy Eat World song was in Van Wilder?
Which one? Which
the
one?
first one.
I don't remember which one.
I can hear it.
It wasn't the middle?
No, it wasn't. It
might have been Sweetness,
no, it wasn't.
And it also might have been.
It was Authority song.
Faster.
Boom. No, it was Authority song. Because it plays.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because I don't associate Authority song with Van Wilder.
Van Wilder. And I was gonna say, piggybacking off of what Sean said, like yeah, I've seen American Pie, but I wasn't, I guess, of like that age or where it's like it resonates with me.
But they're also in the movie.
Yeah, they are.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't associate the movie with Blink in any way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? It just didn't resonate that way with me. Another thing I wanted to point out, like, you also like. No, that's not what I wanted to point out. Shit, I lost my train of thought. But I remember. I wanted to say like because he says like Dan said something similar to like it's not musically complicated. And to be fair, if we're really breaking out sonically and harmonically, punk music in general isn't meant to challenge you harmonically. It's four chords over and over again with very diatonic melodies. If you don't know what that means, go get a master's degree in music. But I don't.
I got $100,000 lying.
But I don't.
Yeah.
I don't listen. I don't listen to punk to be like, oh, look at these insane chord progressions and these like. I want something that immediately hooks into my ear and just digs into my brain, and I can't fucking forget about it for weeks on end. And if I'm just being honest, then because I have been slightly kind of like not so poo-pooing on a lot of stuff this whole playlist, Mutt just didn't do it for me. Out of all the Blink-182 songs, I was just like, wow, like I don't. This song doesn't resonate with me at all. So
After I have been so nice about your list, man, it was David all along.
He doesn't
was
shit on
Dave.
my list. He shits on your list.
All right, who's gonna say something?
I'm
else
not even
about my
shitting
list?
on his list. I'm just
I
saying
know,
that
I know.
song.
No, you're not. You're fine.
Like,
I'll speak now because I'm kind of in between the two. I really like Mutt as a song, but I also think more along David's lines that there's a lot more Blink-182 songs, especially on Enema, that I would put on this list above Mutt. All the ones Dan just mentioned, What's My Age Again would be my first choice off of that album for sure. And then Dumpweed, Anthem. They have a lot of great songs on that album. It's really good beginning to end. Mm-hmm. So Mutt wouldn't be my choice on that, even though I really do enjoy that song. And the other one, that MXPX song, I was not as familiar with. Like, I know the band and I know a few of their other songs, but that one I wasn't really up on. So it was good to hear. I wouldn't put that high on my list. I don't know if I would put that on my list. But I thought it was a good song, so I'm good with it. But yeah, I definitely would have picked a different Blink song.
Yeah, I was a little sad we didn't get. There's no Take Off Your Pants and Jacket or even Man Overboard. Like
Yeah.
Tim was saying.
Yeah. I mean,
Take Off Your
look,
Pants is a great album too.
we could
Blink
do
just
a
hit
full,
it. Boom,
we could
boom,
do a
boom.
full playlist of Blink.
We
and,
can
like,
Seriously, yeah.
easily.
It would be a
easily.
I mean,
We
the only reason I did include some of the more popular ones because I figured they would be on. I figured everyone would have a Blink song, but
Yeah.
So, all right. MXPX. I love MXPX.
Note to Chris
I don't-
Clark, we're doing a Blink-182 show next.
I don't listen to MXPX nearly as much as I should. I like them. I listened to them a lot when I was younger. Mutt, I kind of feel the same, right? Like, are there better Blink-182 songs or more iconic Blink-182 songs? Sure. But I'm glad that's on here because, it's Blink-182, no matter what song you pull, even something like I Miss You, which really isn't a punk song.
oh yeah, Survivor Island, Blink-182. I'm all about that.
Yes, we should do
I
that.
like to
I'm
cause
in.
problems.
Yes.
I'm in.
Yes.
I'm so
I'm
into
in.
that.
Let's do it.
All right, so even something like even something like I Miss You that's not really pop punk, it's still quintessential pop punk. But the one thing I do want to mention before we move on to our last guest is we have 3 days to hit this $1,000 goal
We're so
for
close,
the
guys.
American Heart Association. Now, if you are watching this on the playback, you could still send in a Streamlab, and we will add your song to the playlist as soon as Chris Clark gets it. Just go ahead and tag it with, add to pop punk playlist.
At the Pajukin.
And sorry, Paul, there's no Queen on this list yet.
Just wait,
Ed
though.
Harris.
Ed Harris. There's Ed Harris coming.
Just wait, buddy.
Just wait. But we'll get to the PJCN plugs later. David B.
Oh,
All right.
Well, Dan, did you have anything to say about MXPX? I don't think you.
Oh yeah.
You just talked about.
I talked about Blink. MXPX was one of those ones that was like, I just somehow skipped my radar when I was younger. And it was one of those ones I was happy to hear. I always whenever I heard them, I really enjoyed them. Jim, that's my buddy Jim. And I'm happy Jim is in the comments really repping for PJ because he doesn't even know how much PJ loves Coheed. Anyway, MXPX was, like you said earlier on, Tim, is like I knew them kind of like an ancillary Christian band, but I'm happy that they made the list because I knew that they were very instrumental in this time period for pop punk. So I'm happy they were like way up on yours.
It's funny. I never thought of MXPX as a Christian band.
It's mostly
Me either.
because they were
Their
under
label.
the Tooth and Nail label, which was primarily Christian label. So that's the main reason why. And a lot of their early albums were all Tooth and Nail.
If we wind up doing a post-hardcore or screamo, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Solid State represented on there, which is a
Solid
Tooth and Nail
State.
imprint.
Give me some Zale.
Maybe not Zale, maybe Emery.
I like Zale.
Emery. I like Emery. Dave B, bring us home.
Alrighty, boys. This is
Tell
your
us
last,
about your music degree.
This is your last chance to shit on my list. Y'all ready? I don't even know what I have. Let's find out
leave
together.
that scroll. Please leave
I
that.
actually like your last 2 picks a lot. So
I don't remember. Oh, Miss Murder by AFI.
What the fuck is a misspurt?
And Way Away by Yellow Card.
Yes.
I remember like one of the first real memories I have of like listening to something that wasn't Backstreet Boys or NSYNC was specifically that song, Miss Murder. I also remember a time where MTV used to play music.
Dave B,
Yeah.
how old are you?
I'm 30. I'm about to be 33 in April.
Okay.
Oh,
So I remember
Miss
like
Murder came out in 06.
yeah.
no, it was before that.
Jeez.
No, way before that, sir. Miss Murder
Yeah,
was
I was
like,
thinking it was like 2003.
It's like
Miss
Like
Murder
4.
is 2006. I have it
Wow.
recorded here.
wow, really?
Oh,
Yeah, December
hurts.
Underground. December Underground came out in 2006.
Wow.
I don't know. I was.
Well, all those years blend together.
It's in my notes. I took diligent notes on all these songs.
I remember around that time too. It was like a lot of like. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a historian.
I will.
It was a lot of like 3 Days Grace and a lot of like
Yeah.
Alien Ant Farm and all those kind of like.
Alien Ant Farm's
Yeah.
earlier, but yeah.
Alien Ant was a little bit, but they were still around during that time. They had like
yeah, that
3
was like
albums.
2000, 2001 that they hit real big.
Yeah, but anyways, but it was like one of the first times I remember listening to something that like was like catchy but also kind of rocky. You know what I mean? And then eventually figuring out like AFI is a punk band. Now, arguably, you can argue Miss Murder, the song itself, if it's punk or not, but I like it, so I put it on there. And then Yellow Card, to me, growing up in
Yeah.
high school, like when I listened to that song, to me and like my friends, that was like quintessential, like, oh shit, dude, this is like the new pop punk. It's Yellow Card. You gotta listen to this shit out. And that whole album, Ocean Avenue, like I remember just scratching the shit out of my CD, like listening to it over and over and over again, just wearing it the fuck out. And like, I've loved Yellow Card ever since then. And that song to me, like, just it's just a banger of an opener. It's a banger of a song. It shows you what the band's about, how it's like fast, it rips, there's violins in it, there's crazy drums in it. So, yeah. My top
right.
2. Surprisingly, I legit did hit. I just hit shuffle and just put them on there.
Wait,
so I'm
hold on,
surprised
time
those
out.
2 were on top.
Time out real quick. So the thing that I was conflating in my head for Miss Murder was Girls Not Grey, which was AFI's biggest hit before
Oh,
this.
yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
on
So-
December Underground, and that was 03. So that's where I got fucked up.
Okay.
I wanted to. This is what I want to touch on here. So, if we're gonna put AFI on this list, Girls Not Grey, Silver and Cold,
Yes.
Leaving Song Part 2. Now, here's the thing. I'm gonna shit on David B, and then I'm gonna boost him up to the top.
Oh,
Miss Murder is not pop punk. It's that weird pseudo emo genre of Hawthorne Heights and like
Chem,
later My
yeah.
Chem, like Black Parade and stuff, like where
It's like its own thing. It's like gothic punk.
I would
Yeah,
put
it's
Black Parade
gothic
way
punk. I
higher
think-
than all that.
It's David S.
Right.
Pumpkins of music.
like
It's its own
Girls
thing.
Not Grey. I would like to petition Chris Clark to change this to Girls Not Grey. Now, Yellow Card. All right,
All day,
Yellow
every day.
Card.
All day,
When I was in the 6th grade, someone tell me when this album came out.
03.
2003.
03.
Oh, okay.
Does that add up?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. When I was in the 6th grade,
Oh, yeah. So when I was in college.
maybe 7th grade,
I was a freshman in college.
I burned a cassette where the front side was All American Rejects, whatever the fuck their first album was called.
Yeah. Swing
American
Swing,
High-
maybe?
Was it Swing Swing?
Swing Swing might have been their second album.
Dude, the last song, James, the last song was one of those late cuts for me.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So,
Oh, you don't
So,
burn
yeah.
a cassette; you record a cassette.
Yeah.
so I think when
burn a CD.
Way
Come
Away
on
came
now.
out, I think I would have been in 7th grade then, right? So I burned from my buddy's 2 CDs. I burned All American Rejects and then Yellow Card on the other side of the cassette. And this was the first cassette I had in my car and it was honestly the only cassette I ever played in my car. Not for American Rejects, but for Yellow Card. This whole fucking Yellow Card album, it's bangers, man. Like Way Away, Breathing,
Ocean Avenue.
Life
Life
of a
Empty-
Lights was Lights and Sounds on that one?
Yep, it's Alan.
What was the question, James?
Lights and Sounds, is that?
No,
that
that's
that's the next. That's the next
that's the
album.
next one. Yeah.
That's the follow up.
But like I put Lights and Sounds on my list because it's a lot more of what I think of when I think of pop punk. But like, holy fuck, this album is one of my favorite albums of all time, and I didn't like it when I was younger. Like once I started getting into music, I kind of went, this is a little light for me. Like they got a violin, it's whatever. And then when I got like now as an adult, I've gone back to them so much. I've gone back to that well so many times. The one thing, I'm going to double back on my point earlier. I do like Miss Murder. I just don't know that it's pop punk. But I really like Miss Murder.
Yeah, well,
I love the ship.
I'll go next. I'll fight for David's song, Miss Murder.
I love this. I love that
even though he pooped on my song. I don't think it's a pop punk song, but I think that it fits in with David's list, and I think if David's interpretation of it is to be a pop punk song, I think it has elements. I think Davey Havok's voice is like a pop punk voice, like 100%.
Fair.
And it's super catchy. It's all the songs we mentioned are very catchy and singable, and I think that is a very important element of pop punk. So I think under those things, I think you can definitely make the argument for it to be here, and I think it's fine that it's here. I do enjoy this song a lot. And then Way Away, the only thing I want to say about that is, it's a great song, but I've heard this song more than any other song on this list, not only because I've listened to this list several times, but because I broke out my PS2 and I've been playing Madden 2004, and this song
I couldn't remember which one it was on.
Yep,
Tim,
it's in the one with Michael Vick on the cover.
We talked about this, and we talked
We
about
did,
it.
yeah.
And,
You played this song, I think, or something.
Well, it wasn't the song. I got very close
song,
to no. I got very close to putting "Give Up the Grudge" by Gob on this playlist, and I just couldn't find room. But it was one of those ones that was like a very, very, very late cut because that song is a fucking banger.
So yeah, those are my thoughts on these two songs. I do like.
Jim's a great friend of mine.
I like the ambition of David's list overall.
I do too, and
Thanks for joining us, Jim.
I'm really glad David was here to raise our blood pressure.
Reach chaos.
Hold on. I haven't commented on these.
I didn't say we're
Nor
done.
do you need to. Let's move on.
I have not either.
If we were all in a room, if the five of us were in a room and this was a round table discussion, I would be cuddling David B so hard because I love him and respect him so much. He'd be vomiting. He'd be pushing my face away. I will I will be with Sean as far as the Miss Murder goes. Maybe not that song. I do like AFI. Not sure if it goes here, but Yellow Card. Also, I want to make a note. We have Yellow Card Way Away. We have Yellow Card Lights and Sounds. I tried to put Yellow Card Gifts and Curses on this song. So there were 3 separate people, and none of us wanted to put on Ocean Avenue. So I think that's a plus mark for all of us, because Ocean Avenue is a good song, but I think the 5 of us, and 6 of us, including Max, we all got sick of that song fucking 10, 15 years ago. So I'm happy that none of us were
No. I ain't sick of that song. I fucking love that song.
I still like it too.
Hold on.
It's a good song, but
I like it now. But there was definitely a residual, I heard
it was one of those things where you listen to it for 5 years and then you had to stop for 15 and then you listen to it again. Yeah.
I enjoy it now. It was one of those things where it was there are other bands, and I'll get into that on a different suddenly soundtracks, other things that I hated when I was younger, and I can go back and listen to now, and I'm like, I have a different appreciation for you.
Yeah.
That being said, Yellow Card Way Away, perfect.
Chef's kiss. James.
Yeah, same. I thought Way Away was a great pick. I do love Ocean Avenue. It was on my short list. I just couldn't get it in there. And yeah, Miss Murder is not a pop punk song. AFI is not a pop punk band. I love the song. I wouldn't throw it on there.
Only one was great.
So this is our playlist. We can send this out. Stay tuned. We'll send it out to everyone. Does anybody We've already been going for 3 hours, but I don't know if anyone wants to mention some honorable mentions that haven't come up at all.
Oh my god, how much time you
I
have?
would say what I said earlier. I would say do not go into the songs. I would say just mention the band and the song if you have an honorable mention, and we'll move on. I can start on mine.
Just a couple, Dan.
Just a couple. Mine that I'm going to mention are the Dopamines, Public Domain, which is like my only later like punk band. Newfound Glory, All Downhill From Here.
Yeah.
And then Screeching Weasel, Hey Suburbia, and then my last one was Slick Shoes Alone. So
nice. I love both of those picks.
Boys of Summer.
I thought about it. I thought about it. The
cover by
the Ataris.
The
The
Ataris.
Ataris.
Thank you. I wanted to put some Ann Arbor on here, but again, they kind of straddle that line. The Almost again kind of straddles that line. You know, fuck, I got a ton. Brand New didn't make the list, which again, maybe they straddle the line.
No, I would.
But you know what? One of Those Nights by The Cab. That's the one song that didn't make the list.
I would say
now, if you could find the One of Those Nights version by The Cab that has
thank you, sir.
That has Pat Stump and Brendan Urie, it just fucking rocks. The rest of the Cab's discography doesn't really fit. Chunk No Caption Chunk, anything by them. Dangerous Summer got cut. Dan, I'll steal that one from you.
Oh, son of a bitch.
But yeah, there's a ton of bands that got cut. Dano, what do you got?
So that was one of the ones I was going to mention. Was the Dangerous Summer was the late cut for me. There was Stroke 9. I thought about
Yes.
Stroke 9.
The band Say Anything. I had one. They were like just missing it. Lucky Boys Confusion had them on there. Homegrown. I Am the Avalanche. The Audition. A tiny band no one knows called Cauterize. Eve 6 almost made my list.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit!
Holy
Danny.
shit, Danny Cost.
Danny.
Wow, hey.
Also, Mike K was $50 before that. So
Holy shit!
see
Thank you, guys.
If you could send us Mike
Hitting
K's
that- hitting that
Streamlab
goal.
so we can read it.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm getting that right now, guys.
I will
Danny,
pause, by all means.
what the hell, Danny? We love you.
Danny's a real one.
You just tell us all the songs you want to add to this.
I was gonna say I can bullshit.
Danny,
Yeah,
All
Danny,
the
Danny
all the
had 10
Nirvana songs you
to
want.
add.
Danny did tweet at us in one of the. I think it was in my tweet of this show that he tweeted his list on Spotify, which I checked out. It's a great list. So
We're just gonna put
definitely,
it on.
I'll retweet that out as well. And he has a great list of his favorite pop punk songs. So.
I would say
They're all going on the list now.
I'll wrap mine up. Lucky Boys Confusion. I already said Punchline. The Matches, which is the shirt that I'm rocking right now, which is for most of you know CBGB, a play on that. Punchline. I would have put on Rufio.
Oh,
I sadly
Punchline.
couldn't get
Yeah,
Rufio.
Rufio's
Dude, I
great.
forgot about Punchline too.
Rufio's great.
Set Your Goals, and Unwritten Law. Like that was more
Yeah,
or less
Unwritten Law.
everything.
For sure. Yeah. James, any other honorable mentions you care to mention?
Yeah, I know. I mentioned it earlier. I don't think we should really have a complete pop punk list without Good Charlotte on there. What you think of them, what you love, what you hate. Good Charlotte defined pop punk there for a little while, so I think there should have at least been one Good Charlotte song on here. I also consider putting Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. I thought they have a lot of really good songs, but they tend to veer more to alternative rock.
I would have been in the same boat as the Story of the Year, etc.
Yeah, there was another Story of the Year song that I was thinking of too. Until the Day I Die. I love that song, but that definitely veers more rock and alternative rock than it does pop punk. But most everything else got covered as I'm looking through this. Again, I'll say Weezer. We probably could have got a Weezer song on here. But
Set Your Goals.
I had a Set Your Goals on my side list. I think Mutiny was on my side list.
I had Buddy Holly. I think that's still kind of pop punk, even if it's more just alternative. But it defined an era right there in the mid '90s. Like Buddy Holly was just like so big.
I got a good one. And technically this falls into a different genre, but this song in particular.
What? This guy?
PJ.
Who the fuck is this guy?
PJ Campbell. Fine, we'll put
guy.
We'll
Welcome
put
Home
Coheed
on the list.
on. Jeez.
Which song did he pick? Was it Second Stage Turbine Blade?
No, it'll be Favor House Atlantic.
Okay.
No, he picked the score for Highlander.
All right. So the one song that I really wanted on my list. It's not technically a pop punk band, but the song in my head is pop punk. Is "Artist in the Ambulance" by Thrice.
Ooh, I don't know that one.
Sean and I had a really long conversation about this, and I retorted back with, it's either "Artist in the Ambulance" or "All That's Left." Those are the two songs, because if you look at the rest of that album, it's hard as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, imagine putting Paper Tigers on this list. You just can't do it.
I don't know those songs, so I have no.
Tim, you would honestly
You would
love
love
that
Thrice.
album. You would love Thrice.
I know Thrice. I just can't think of like their songs. I know I've listened to them, but I just can't. Think
See you,
of them.
Danny. Have a good night.
All
thanks,
right,
man.
so I want to read Mike K's Streamlab real quick. Great list all around. Last time I'll mention Spanish love songs as a sample. Self-Destruct as a sensible career choice is going to be on the list, so you guys can check that out on the list. I'm going to do a deep dive into them tomorrow, along with
Literally Googling it right now.
Along with Mike K suggested a YouTube channel to check out that I'm going to go check out tomorrow as well. Anyone got any last thoughts before we start plugging things?
David, did you have any weird honorable mentions?
I forgot about David. I'm so sorry, David.
I mean that in a good way, because I love David B's list.
That's why I was like, fucking David. I forgot him. I feel so bad.
Yeah, fuck David B.
No, not fuck David B. I love David B.
Listen,
I love him so
listen,
much.
I have two songs to describe my lovely pal list here. One would be "Ignorance" by Paramore. The other one would be "I Hate Everything About You" by 3 Days Grace. Yeah. And if I could describe two songs that I feel right now, one would be "Last Resort" by Papa Roach and
Papa Roach
and "Hurt" by Johnny Cash. And they're not pop punk songs, but apparently neither is my list.
No.
So
David B's gone. Johnny Cash did not write "Hurt." I'm gonna go on this tirade again.
Hey,
Give Trent Reznor.
I never said. I never said written by Johnny Cash. I said by Johnny Cash.
Yeah, but
huge difference.
Trent Reznor has even said many times that song is a Johnny Cash song, and he does not care about.
I know.
He loves the fact that Johnny Cash.
So,
however, hold on, time out. While we have everyone here, before you wrap everything up, Sean and I have talked about this. If you want me and Sean to host a Screamo / post-hardcore added to playlist, let us know, because we've been kicking around this idea, and obviously by the list that we're looking at right now.
We don't need their opinion. We're just going to do it.
That'll just be Dan and Sean, and it will be 6 hours long, just the two of them.
I think PJ and David B will join us.
I'm out.
I think this is my last time on the.
No, hold on, time out. We won't even. So hold on, time out. We won't have David be on it. We're gonna copy and paste this list from the pop punk and just put it on the post-hardcore.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, you could just do that. So,
all right.
like I said, my last time on Pajukin. So
real quick, guys, we've been here forever. It's really late tonight, but tomorrow we got Front Center Mez. Should be, I think, 6:30 is the new start time for that. But before that, we're gonna have a ramble on about movies with Dan Nye and Eric Mueller. Dan, that is happening tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Okay, that has become a weekly show. On Friday. I believe we're watching Stardust, a Patreon pick for a watch along. As far as this show, Suddenly Soundtracks, I think we're going to take a quick hiatus before we get to a Patreon pick. We're going to be discussing the life and career of one Chester Bennington along with Linkin Park. That is kind of going to be a new format Chris Clark's working on. I'm really excited to see what he does with it. I don't know if he has guests, but if he does, you'll probably see some of these faces around there along with PJ. And then last thing, Saturday, supporting American Heart Association, twitch.tv/Chris Clark 8788. Nope, this was last Saturday. No, this is this Saturday.
This is the Saturday.
I can read dates. Yeah. Chris Clark, you're here. We're doing a Mario Party Magnus, Andras Gallegos, William the Beast Bibiani, Brandon the Kid Meyer, Nerd Chronic, Video Drew, a small child I've never seen, and a man with a beard.
Oh, I cannot. Oh my God.
Petition Sean to write all of our bumpers. Just go into it.
I was like, I'm not sure if he could be up that late.
Small child I've never seen.
Small child I've never seen.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah,
And Eric from Blind Wave. Yeah, it's
David.
really cool.
Oh, is that Eric from Blind Wave?
Yeah.
You're letting him on your channel, Chris.
Oh, I betrayed.
Chris.
Oh my
All
God.
right,
Oh, I'm so
anyways.
stupid right now.
All right, let's go around and plug,
All right.
and plug in
David
where
B.
we're at and get out of here. David B.
David B. Where
Oh,
can the people find you?
well, first of all, if you have any qualms about my list, you can find me at Suit Up Sully. That's SUITUPSULLY. I also have a Twitch channel, Suit Up Sully, right?
Nope. Sean Sully. Twitch.tv/
Oh,
Sean Sully. But David B,
that's right.
do me
Thank
a
you for-
favor. Do me a favor, because we are on Suddenly Soundtracks. Tell us all about your streaming album.
Oh yeah, I released an album. So for anybody who creates content on streams or here on YouTube or Twitch, you can totally play that music in the background. It's royalty free, copyright free. I won't copyright strike you. It is Sunday Beats. You can stream that everywhere you stream music, on Spotify, Apple, Deezer, Amazon, whatever you stream music on. Just look up David B Music and Sunday Beats, the album. Yeah. And if you don't like it, again, at Suit Up Sully on Twitter and Instagram. Find me on the Schmodown.
James, what do you got for me?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Gator24. It's G4TOR24. And you can find me in the season 8 of the Schmodown. I've been corrupted along with my buddy over here. Check
Ooh,
us
you
out.
should be playing that. Play
We've
that,
got
Sean.
seriously. I mean, we've got the best faction in the league. We've got the best manager in the league. Check out Corruption. About to be back-to-back team champs.
Damn.
Hold on, I'm vibing.
It's too late, Dan. The damage is done.
Can't come back. Can't come back.
Nope. It's over.
Dan, where can the people find you?
I'm here occasionally. I guess I have a show now.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow. I'm sure. 5 PST, 8 Eastern. Me and Eric talking movies and other shit, whatever we want to talk about. We've had Max and PJ on. We'll get some of these other yahoos to talk movies on at some point, I'm sure.
I heard James on tomorrow, right, James?
Sure, James, you got
Oh,
time?
am I?
Are you working?
I'm
Are
off.
you on?
I can be
Yeah,
on.
do it. Well, James.
Fuck it.
James is on tomorrow. Look, Sean.
I'll be yeah, you can find me at G42R24 and on Ramble On to Movies tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Right now, Jill from the other room. Right now, no edibles, but 2 glasses of whiskey. So
Whiskey.
I've had one.
You could of course find me
What
David B
about
Music
Tim?
on Twitter.
What about
David
Tim?
B Music on Tim gets to close out. This is
If he's hosting, yeah. Let me
Kind of.
know.
I mean, Sean and I have been just doing this whole thing back and forth.
we have a rapport.
Yeah.
We're both husky, sexy, bearded men.
Correct.
We're on an intimate level here.
Did you see?
1000%
tried
agree.
wanted to
1000%
get
agree.
Tim's. I can't get Tim's sex appeal. I tried to do the faux hawk, but
My
just
hair's long. I need to cut it
no
again.
avail. No, keep it.
If I
I'm
try
not
it, just
sexy half,
falls.
so fuck all 4 of you.
There it is. I kind of
yeah,
got it.
Twitch.tv/Sean Sully. Suit Up Sully on Twitter. Suit Up Sully on Instagram. I don't use that. Suit Up Sully on Pornhub. I don't know. Timmy, what do you got?
On OnlyFans.
That's Suit
find
Off
me
Sully.
at Franco84 on Twitter. I don't want anyone to follow me on Instagram because I just lurk on breweries on Instagram, so no one needs to follow me there. Franco84 on Twitter. You can check out me on the PJ Campbell Network here and there, like tonight. This was fun. Check out my cousin's album on Spotify. All My Fires. It's not pop punk, but it's good. All My Fires. Adam Townsend. Anyways.
Whoa!
I think we should close this out.
God damn it.
What?
Who the fuck is this guy?
Oh God.
Who the fuck is
Anyways,
this guy?
thanks
Zero
everyone for sticking
Coheed right on the
around.
list.
Thanks everyone for sticking around. We will see you guys soon.
Hi, Ralph.
Hey there, Maxwell. How are you?
How are you doing today? Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas! Yes.
What do you have to tell us today, Ralph?
Oh, well, I wasn't given a script or anything. It's a little unprofessional, Brandon, but that's okay. You can watch the Film Physics Christmas special. That is youtube.com/Brandon Hanna. And if you like Christmas, which I love Christmas, yes, get through that.
You are the opposite of the Grinch, Ralph.
I don't like the Grinch very much. He's very sad.
And you're very happy?
I really am happy. Sometimes my voice sounds different than other times. So today it's a little different, but that's okay because I just try really hard. I have sinus problems like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, I get it.
There doesn't seem to be airflow into your nostril area, so I completely understand.
Some people say I kind of sound like Ray Romano.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Robert!
Well, Ralph, everyone does love Raymond.
And everybody loves Ralph. Thank you so much, Ralph.
No, thank you. And watch Box whichever day it comes out.